Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host. Actually, sorry, I'm so used to saying that. My co host is actually on vacation. For the professor is not here. But what I will say is that Istophobos is here filling in, and Istophobos is a friend of the channel and we're always happy to have him here and hear his thoughts and insights. So, really grateful that he was able to step in here today. How's it going, Esta?
It's going great. Merry Christmas, Price, and Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat. I hope
Merry Christmas to
everybody had a
everyone.
wonderful day.
Yep, I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Until now, we were doing this other stream. The Quantum Leap one just kind of turned into a spontaneous discussion about movies that came out this year, which apparently I seemed so negative that one person was sad. And there's nothing I can do. There really wasn't very good movies this year.
Yeah, we were hard pressed to come up with a top five list, even of like mediocre films. But that one, I don't know. I felt like they might have been trolling you a little bit.
Oh, maybe I don't know. I have no idea. But in any case, it was a nice conversation. It was nice hanging out with my friend Ro. And now we're doing this thing. You know, um, because it's sort of still a holiday situation, I didn't want to dwell too much on like politics and stuff like that. I did see something that Trump said that like he went and attacked some people in Nigeria or I don't know what that were doing stuff with Christians. I don't have any issue with what he was saying. It sounds like if he did it, he probably has his reasons. I didn't really have any issues with that personally. Don't know what the sentiment was on the street. I just saw it very quickly, and personally didn't have an issue.
Well, I do know that he gave every active service member $1,776, and they were quite thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to do that. I mean, I don't have any issue with that either. I think that troops work very hard and they're in danger and they make a lot of sacrifices. I know that they still get paid, but they get paid in a situation that they're putting themselves a lot of times in danger and things like that. And I have a lot of respect for what they do. I don't have any issue with them getting rewarded at the holiday times, with such a thing. Have no issue with it whatsoever. So it's all fine by me personally.
Yeah, I'm glad he did that. They are grossly underpaid because anybody can go out and work in the private sector for many times that money. But I'm not always comfortable with, private military contractors. I'd rather them be the part of our military. And so I'm glad that he gave them a little bit of extra. And it's more than just the money, it's showing them respect that I think they have not received over the past 5 years.
Right. And I agree with you 100%. And also I'll say something else and I'll try not to be too political, but I'll say like when we find out about all this money that, in Minnesota or whatever it is that there's like, tens of billions of dollars that people don't know where it is and where or they know where it is, but it went to all the worst places and just people were just like, taking and pocketing all this money and whatever. When I hear stuff like that and then you hear about these guys getting you know paid. I would prefer seeing these guys get paid than you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I suspect a lot of that money is in a wicker basket in Ilhan Omar's closet, and I would really like to see if maybe they can get some of that back. Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
sometimes I was just thinking to myself that sometimes there's so many conversations about what like the US does with its money here, is the money there. And sometimes over a few billion dollars, people are like having the really, really like, tough discussions about why the money went here, why the money went there. And then when you hear something like that, it like, it sounds way worse to me than any other thing. Meaning, we hear a lot of stuff. Oh, like foreign policy. Are we really spending here? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And at the end, these guys are just sitting here and taking $18 million. It's such a joke.
Yeah, No, it's insane. We're talking like over $20 billion. Look at all the crap.
Insanity, insanity. This is money that something could have been done with it, and that we would import people over here that would use that money in that way. This is just terrible.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I don't know why nothing happens to anybody and then no actions are taken and nothing is done. I don't know if it'll be like that in this case, but sounds really bad. And
Yeah.
I don't know how Governor Tim Walz or whatever is just walking around like it's nothing. Probably nothing is going to happen either, and then nobody's going to say anything to him because that's what it seems like is happening right now. I guess.
Yeah, the lack of accountability is especially frustrating. And as Lasher pointed out, of late, they've lost multiple billions of dollars in California too. That's unaccounted for. Plus, all the state's reserve funds have been completely raided. But look at all the crap Trump got for spending a mere measly pittance of $300 million on the White House remodel. It didn't even come from taxpayer money. That was private donations. And they're acting like it's the end of democracy when, 400 times that $20 billion has gone missing, and every single Minnesota and US taxpayer, like, that's our money, and it's been stolen and sent overseas, and in many cases put in the hands of some very bad people.
Bad
How can you
people,
not be
yeah.
infuriated about that? And knowing that no one's going to be held ultimately accountable for that is very frustrating. It's
Yeah, I think
probably
the
the number
professor
one.
somebody said the professor is watching us. Yeah, Price confirmed as AI. Yeah, professor, he's traveling, but he's still kind of, listening in and sending some comments here or there. I agree with you 100%. With California, you also had a situation. One, they were supposed to build some train, and then nothing happened with that. And then you had all the homeless people, and nothing happened with that. Just so much money mismanaged, and nobody even knows where it went. So many ridiculous things happening in California, and now in Minnesota. And yeah, I mean, really hope that they manage to fix this thing. Angelo DD on the Rumble side. I hope you all have a great Christmas and ate well. Thank you. Yes, I did eat well. I ate well yesterday and today, actually.
And
Quite honestly.
California is expected to run a $50 billion deficit by the end of the year. And the guy who works for the state that was supposed to be managing um, that money, the guy who was supervising the kind of the director of the treasury, he was fired when he tried to explain that this is how much money we're going to owe next year.
I see. Jason Webster. Jason Webster. My choices for best films of 2025. No other choice. Coco Who, Yadang the Snitch, Left-Handed Girl, Sentimental Value, Bring Her Back, Exit 8, F1, My Daughter is a Zombie, K-Pop Demon Hunters. Interesting. There's a bunch of movies here that I didn't see. I did like F1. Certainly like that movie. Um, Professor R2 says, yes, I'm at my mother's with no mic and crummy internet. Next week I'll be traveling without a mic and in a hotel, even less reliable internet. I understand. It's important, the professor spends some time with his family, and I totally understand that. I'm always thankful for peeping. What was I even going to say? I'm always thankful. I wanted to say I'm always thankful for people helping with my streams. But something I said somehow I said I'm always happy when there's peeping, which is not what I meant. That came out all wrong. Sorry, professor. Did my best, sort of. Did you guys watch The Great Flood on Netflix? I didn't see that. Hope you had a great Christmas. Thank you. Merry Christmas, man. Let's see. So yeah, that was our political thing. I don't want to dwell too much on politics today. There's enough days of the year where we do all of that stuff. Peeping. Professor R2 is peeping.
I
He's my
feel
peeps,
better.
yo.
I feel
Sorry.
better knowing the professor is watching over us out there, though. Hey, professor.
Hey, Professor. We appreciate you, Prof. That's the real head case. That's what he said. Uh, the real head case, I think, sent me a DM and I was going to answer it, and then I got caught up in something. But what I will say is the question that you had for me, the real head case, I think you should do some Googling and maybe you'll be able to solve your issue.
I I
That's
do
like the
have
worst advice ever given. Go use Google. That's I'll answer. I'll answer the DM when I get price of voyeurism. Yeah, professor is
That's
peeping. I wanted to say he's my peeps, yo, but also he's peeping, so it's like a double. We made him like a peeping tom. In any case, Nobody 2 wasn't bad. Limited girl boss, but tolerable. The thing with Nobody 2 is that it just wasn't better than the first one. I think Bob Odenkirk still carries this movie in a way that you can watch it and semi enjoy it. Sharon Stone, who I think is a good actress, and I've seen her in some movies that I really liked her performances. All wrong for the casting of the bad guy because it feels like this needed like a man. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any way to say it. I think it needed like a kind of criminal gangster male type of actor. I don't think that Sharon Stone was the right fit for it. She's not the only problem with the movie. There's other problems. So
Yeah, and limited girl bossing. This was nothing but girl bossing,
total girl bossing.
jingle
Yeah.
bells all the way girl bossing. Holy moly. Yeah. That
Eh,
movie, like, it pissed me off even more the next day when I thought about what I had watched.
That's understood. Again, I don't think I gave it a failing grade in my reviews, but it also wasn't the best. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Anyone sell Primitive? I wanted to see Primitive more. I didn't get a chance to.
it was awesome. In fact, I forgot that definitely belongs on the top 5 list, and it just slipped my mind when we were streaming earlier about it. Primitive War is great. It's like the Godzilla -1 of Jurassic Park. They made it with peanuts, and it looked fantastic.
Well, that's
And
always cool.
number 6 was in there, Trisha Helfer. She was really, really good. Like, the acting was good. It was mostly people you've never heard of, but she was in there, and I think, was it Jeremy Piven, or he was in there almost unrecognizable. But yeah, man, the movie just, it's sort of like pick your favorite Vietnam War movie, add dinosaurs, and watch the bullets fly. It was pretty cool.
I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance. What was I going to say? So, Stranger Things, which is it premiered a few episodes today. Quite honestly, since it just premiered at 8 p.m. and I had a stream at 10 and there was a few things going on, I only really watched the first episode. Did you watch any of it?
Um, yeah, not of the new ones, but I think, dude, last season I thought it was bad, and then I watched the first 2 episodes that they released last month. I just couldn't take it anymore, so I dropped out a bit. You know
That's
what?
cool. That's cool. I'll give you what I thought.
Okay.
Basically, I think that the 4 episodes that were released last month had issues in them. I did a review, and I certainly didn't shy away from saying the issues. At the end of the day, even though I had issues with it and I thought it was like a dip in quality from season 4, which season 4 was pretty good, kind of like a return to form for the show, but season 5 made a lot of mistakes and I wasn't afraid to talk about them. Even with all of its mistakes, I'm still capable of watching it. I don't hate the show. It's not at a point where I can't watch it. It just feels like sometimes you have a show that you think, man, they probably could have just ended this last season. They could have just taken season 4, made that some much bigger grand finale that is the final episode of this show, and just finished it. And instead, this additional season with the kids aging like 70 years between season to season,
Yeah.
and just the writing kind of dipping in quality, and just playing it safe, and a lot of things that are rehashed. It's certainly the franchise has seen franchise or the show or whatever you want to call it has seen better days. I'm still in it. I'm still going to watch it, and I think that there's still a cultural event here that people are going to continue to watch it. But can't say that I'm super excited. Like I'm not overwhelmed with excitement. This episode today, this first one that I saw, felt like it was treading a lot of water. I didn't feel like anything significant really happened, and it kind of ended even in this kind of open-ended way. In the past, I feel like if you look at season 1, after every episode, I'm like, on the edge of my seat. This is not happening here in this new season, and this thing that I saw, I'm really sick of the thing with like Nancy and whatever, and the 2 boyfriends or whatever. Really sick of that. I think also I don't know what they did with Dustin this season. I get it, he liked Teddy, but now he's fighting all the time with Mike. Well, not with Mike, with Steve. I don't know. All these things just kind of annoy me. I don't feel like they took our characters forward. I feel like they kind of took the characters backward, and not in a way that felt natural to me. 11 also. You barely didn't even know what to do with her, and they introduced her like sister or whatever it is. It's Hopper just seems like a footnote now. People forget this. When the show started, what was considered probably like the two strongest like actors in this whole thing was like the guy that plays Hopper, like David Harbour as Hopper, and you had Winona Ryder as like the mother, and it really gave them something to do, and like they had a certain presence. Whereas this season, at this point, like they just feel like afterthoughts. Really, everybody feels like an afterthought. It's just there's so many characters here. They don't know what to do with them. They're juggling a lot of balls in the air, and it's all right. I didn't get a chance to watch the other episodes. Maybe other people watched them and enjoyed them or whatever it is. But I really think that I wasn't over. I wasn't. I was underwhelmed
I
by this episode. I've been underwhelmed until now by this new season. Didn't hate it as much as you, Phobos, but I can see why you'd watch it and be disappointed as well.
Yeah, I did hear a couple things that I thought were interesting, but let me preface by season one was excellent, but they didn't have a plan to go from there. And I think people are just hanging on to this, trying to get their member berries from season one back. Everything feels like a tacked on or a band-aid or a patch or
I thought season 4 was pretty good. I actually think see, season 1, I agree until this day, season 1 was the best, and you're right, they didn't have a plan. They should have had a plan and they didn't. I don't even think I think they thought it was just like going to be an anthology series or they're going to do one season of this, then they're going to do other stuff. And the second it became the hit that it was, Netflix was just like, all the suits and ties, like they came and told these guys, they're just like, just think of a way to make this work. Just continue this story. We don't give a shit what you do. Sorry, Sean. Just continue this story. You need to continue it now, quickly. So the second season did feel rushed, repetitive, and really didn't bring a lot new to the table. The third season tried some different ideas, but there's already crept up like some kind of, I dare say, a little bit of woke shit and whatever, which like was unnecessary. And in general, it just felt like it was all over the place. Season 3 felt to me like the show was pretty much on the verge of falling off a cliff. Then season 4 came along, and I was barely even interested in watching it. And I ended up watching season 4 and really enjoying it. Like I thought to myself, it's not as good as season 1, but it's as close as you're going to get to like that season 1 feeling is season 4. So I had hoped that season 5, they've learned already their mistakes from the past and now they're on a good path. Again, I think that this season is more like 2 and 3 and less like season 4, this new one.
Yeah, so you didn't feel like 4 was kind of like a hack and patch job of desperately trying to fill in the
They had some good moments. I like the introduction of Vecna. I didn't mind that. Obviously, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that we only learn about this whole thing in the season 4, but you know what? I enjoyed it. It
That's
showed at
fair.
least that they were willing to make an effort to do some course correction, and I feel like aside from the first season, the season that they maybe really tried to put in some real thought and effort into to try to course correct or whatever you want to call it was season 4. And for the most part, better than a lot of shows. It's rare that I see a show rebound like they did with season 4, but unfortunately, season 5, they went back to like season 2 and 3 level, in my opinion, until now at least.
Well, here's what I heard, and this kind of surprised me, but I do understand it. So I was watching a couple streams of I like watching people that won't let this show go. I don't know, maybe I just like watching them try to cope. And they said, "Welcome to Derry." Nailed it and basically stole them away from Stranger Things, and now they are all about the Welcome to Derry train. And I have mixed feelings about that show, but I can kind of understand where they're coming from. It makes me wonder how much of the Stranger Things audience has sort of moved their interest over to Derry.
Let me tell you something. I saw Welcome to Derry. I thought it was an unmitigated disaster. It was awful. It was awful. I really, really got annoyed watching Welcome to Derry. Far more annoyed than anything that I've seen in this first volume of Stranger Things episodes. I think that Stranger Things, if nothing else, it's their own property. Yes, it's influenced and ripping off a bunch of other things, but it's still something original that they did. It's still for all of its influences an original IP, and I think that they built something, if nothing else. With it, they're just latching on to something that's like another one of those things to squeeze a franchise. That show is so stupid. With all of the worst, everything wrong with Hollywood shoved into that Welcome to Derry show. The only thing I can say that was good about the Derry show was Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise.
Okay.
The show hangs on a thread just based on his performance. The scenes with him are cool, but man, did you watch all of Welcome to Derry?
Yeah, and for the most part, I thought it was woke trash, and I was. That's why I was so surprised that it seemed like this contingent of hardcore Stranger Things fans were moving over to Dairy. But I can see their point. It was giving them something that Stranger Things wasn't, which is some kind of resolution and closure that they weren't getting from Stranger Things. So, and you know, people get killed on dairy, like kids get killed on dairy. Like I I can see how if you were into that kind of thing, like you like knowing who's not going to survive. Whereas nobody's died in Stranger Things, and that's the most contrived feeling about it. Really, is that there have been moments where there's no way this person should have walked away. But no, I'm not a fan of dairy. I thought it had some moments, but the whole girl bossing thing about it, and some of the identity politics actually make sense for 1962, but I'm so snake bit. I'm just fed up with it. I don't want to see it, even if it may belong in a story.
No, but here's my problem that I have. Uh, like with much of what we see with Hollywood, it's a greedy take because sure. Could there have been stuff in the '60s that you could say some stuff was like that? Sure. But the amount of energy and effort put into this show to highlight that is
Yeah,
beyond reasonable.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the fact that the wife of the military guy, the fact that you have that character is unacceptable. Unacceptable,
yeah.
that character.
And that's what I was going to say. It's one thing to sort of focus on the racism, but then you don't have this large section of a tiny town like devoted, like there's no sort of Mexican quarter in a small, Maine town. It's like they're both highlighting racism yet having diversity that makes no sense for 1962. They
This
really do
was
focus on it.
There's nothing else I can describe Welcome to Daria as aside from like woke propaganda crap, peppered with cool appearances from Pennywise. But
Yeah,
as much as I enjoy those scenes that we see him, I feel like everything around him that's not him sucks, and I just can't give the series a pass. Like I really really didn't like it. I was gonna do a review again. I just didn't have time, but I did not like that show and I was very disappointed with it personally.
Yeah, it's both overtly woke and subliminally woke, and I think the subliminal stuff is the really, dangerous part, involving how they cast it, and like there is not a single white person in that whole show that's anything but bad. Like, you know,
Oh,
it'll be diverse as hell, but when you need this big group of people all to be bad guys, all of a sudden they're all white.
I think let me make sure that I saw the super chats and all the different things. First of all, we have a Rumble rant from some late guy, Long Island 90, which is welcome to whatever. It's trying to be some connected Stephen King universe thing. I'm pretty sure they bring up Shawshank and other Stephen King stories. Yeah, well, Halloran, the guy that's like the sensitive guy that has like can see the future or past or whatever it is, he is the same guy that's in The Shining. So they do manage to try to connect and make like a
Yeah.
Stephen King universe. I really don't need any of this. I think that it's also obvious that when they made these two It movies, they like that came out, whatever, part 2, they were not thinking about doing a prequel series, and the
Yeah.
only reason they did is the Suits walked into an office and said, "Hey, those movies kinda made money, can you make more crap? Maybe a prequel." Prequels usually are crap because you already know what's gonna happen, and whatever they added here didn't add anything to me. Like, really, the only thing that you can get out of it is the Pennywise scenes, but which are good. That's the only thing that I unironically,
Yeah.
you see Pennywise on screen is doing cool shit, that's it, it's good. That's the only thing I have to say. Aside from that, this thing is a disaster.
It's worth noting that Stephen King himself, in his later years, started connecting all of his books and stories together. Like, it's not that Derry is trying to make a connected Stephen King universe. Stephen King started doing that when he was writing the later Dark Tower books, and then just kept going on from there. And I don't think it works at all, particularly with his. We were describing narratives like a Jenga tower in your first stream. And it's like whatever change you make, whether it's at the bottom or the top, it affects the stability and position of every other piece in there. That's why when they do these adaptations and they just make what they think is going to be a little bit change, but it affects the whole story. If it happens if it happens near the end, then it makes all of your initial setup stuff not make sense, and when it happens in the foundation, it makes your payoffs not make sense, which is why prequels are so bad. They so often sort of ruin the properties that they are a prequel to
Absolutely.
by adding inconsistencies that you can no longer, you can no longer reconcile with the overall story. So,
So Karate Werewolf sent a $2 Shibu Inu sticker. Thank you very much, Karate Werewolf, and he's a member, and he also, he has a really great name. I always like
yeah,
Karate Werewolf. That's great.
I
Always
feel like
wins
we
me
need to
over with
get
that.
I feel like we need to get Kung Fu Hot Dog and Karate Werewolf together. Like,
Maybe one day.
yeah,
What was I? There was something I was gonna say, but I'm trying. Oh, okay. Um, some late guy, Long Island 90 says, honestly, the only prequel I think is great is Better Call Saul. Now, the thing with Better Call Saul is that for starters, it is a prequel and a sequel of sorts. Because while you see all the stuff that happened to Saul prior to him to the events of Breaking Bad, there are time jumps, especially as the series wraps up, where it actually jumps forward into time after the events of Breaking Bad. So you're actually watching what happened before and after, which is why it makes it a bit better. I actually thought that Better Call Saul was a very well made show. I really liked what I saw there. The only comment that I'll have is, and I regret this because I really rate Vince Gilligan. I think he's brilliant, and there was a lot of stuff on this show that I thought was brilliant. But the final episode, there's some things that happen maybe in the final 15, 20 minutes of the final episode that I thought was like sort of a cop out. I didn't like what I saw, and I felt that in order to create a certain ending that they wanted, they bent the character of Saul in a way that didn't make sense to me. The Saul Goodman that I would know, and I believe he still would be that Saul Goodman, would not take some weird deal that he didn't even have to take to try to impress Kim. Whatever happened there was stupid. I didn't like that part. I think that if it would have ended that he managed to manipulate everybody and take the best deal for himself and give them all the middle finger, and not too long afterwards he's on his own doing his own crap again, and he fooled them all, or he managed to, like, do a deal with them, I think that would have been cool. That would have made more sense to me with his character. And what they ended up doing there was like, no, like, let's go for the crime doesn't pay, whatever. I don't need that. I don't need that. And I don't need him for a woman, even if it's Kim Wexler, which I rather liked. I don't think for a woman he should be doing anything?
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. They really sort of bent that character, warped him around a telephone pole to get the ending that they wanted. And I think one of the reasons the show in general is so good is that he knew all of this stuff about Saul Goodman even before he wrote Breaking Bad. It's clear that he really went into a lot of these characters in detail. He filled in the backstory, even if they didn't show it, and they made a very consistent run. What is it? 10 Breaking Bad's 5 seasons and Better Call Saul. It was just an unprecedented amount of quality and character development, and to swap that out and to just make them do something so uncharacteristic at the very end, it felt a bit false. It didn't ring true to me. But for the most part, I think Better Call Saul is one of the best shows that's ever been on TV, man.
It's
It's
great,
so
but
well
because
made.
of the last 15 minutes of the final episode, I have a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
Mr. Cirillo says, "I don't think he was trying to impress him, he was trying to protect her." But if you notice during that part, they basically say that he's not gonna be able to help her in any case. Like, even if he does all that, it wouldn't help her. And he does it anyways from what I recall. That's the part that annoys me. It's basically if it was a situation that she was about to go to jail and he put his life before hers, I would have accepted that, but from what I recall, it doesn't make a difference what he says or not. Meaning, he could have just stuck with his deal and nothing bad would have happened to anybody.
Uh, One of the other reasons I think the prequel series works is that it's not going to end well for him, no matter what. You start off knowing that Saul is coming and that Jimmy is screwed, and then you get to learn about the show. You realize that he cannot help himself. No matter what happens, he's always going to go for the quick, easy shortcut, the deal, the scam. Even if he has a chance to go legit, he never takes it. It's Shakespearean and it's tragedy almost. And so watching him get from that place to where he starts in Breaking Bad, I thought was one of the few times something being a prequel actually enhanced the show. And you're
I
right, they
agree.
did intersperse the little sequel bits after. But you always know it's not going to work out well for Jimmy. You're rooting for him, but
Right.
you see he is powerless to not be a scammer. Like,
Hamill's wife still had the confession. Yes, exactly. It wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have helped what he did. Somebody's asking about Pluribus. I'll get to that in a second, but there's another question I had. Let's first of all, there was something else somebody. Okay. Is it true that Snyder is being lined up for an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns for Netflix? I think that at this point, uh, I know people really want to believe one thing or another, and I see a lot of YouTubers and news places and whatever it is, more independent stuff that are like giving the impression that tomorrow morning Zack Snyder is already there, like filming a new movie. But I actually think that things are up in the air. I think that at this moment in time, between Netflix and Paramount and everything that's going on there, I think that there's a lot of uncertainty. And I've said it before that the more uncertainty that there is, uh, the main person that benefits, at least in the short term, is James Gunn. James Gunn managed, because of this uncertainty, to get a few more months on his contract because Netflix, should this deal move forward with them, only take control of Warner Brothers in about 18 months. There could also be years in court. So they're not looking to replace executives right now. And that could be like a huge win for James Gunn. So we're not really sure what exactly is going to happen. There were rumors that if Paramount got won the bid, that they wanted him to make this Dark Knight Returns movie. As for Netflix, initially I thought to myself that they wouldn't want anything to do with him because they had a deal with him to make movies, and they seemed on the surface unhappy, or they seem to have kind of parted ways. But at the same time, since they took, supposedly their offer was accepted, you had Ted Sarandos only complimenting Matt Reeves' Penguin, not talking about James Gunn at all, not talking about Zack Snyder either, but not talking about James Gunn. And then there was some kind of marketing material they put together where they showed the properties of Warner Brothers and Netflix, and they only put in Zack Snyder DCEU stuff without
yeah,
including James Gunn stuff in there. So none of these signs are really, really good for James Gunn. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was either Netflix or Paramount that at the end gives Zack Snyder a movie. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow morning, and I think there's a lot more stuff that needs to happen before that happens. But I will say that if a year ago you would have told me that is there a chance that Zack Snyder comes back and does something, I said probably not. And now when you ask me that, I say, well, I think there's a chance. But we need to
yeah.
see more what's happening with this merger, with all this stuff, takeover. I think that it's a bit premature to decisively make you know to decisively report on it in a way that tomorrow morning he's there with the camera. I'm not hating on people that do that. There's certainly YouTube channels that do that. It helps with a thumbnail, in a lot of cases. Sometimes even in my thumbnails, I try to, I at least put a question mark or I try to ask a question. There's people that just write like, he's back. And then like you click on it and it's like, you're getting the impression like tomorrow morning is there filming the movie. He's not filming it tomorrow. Don't worry, he's not filming it tomorrow.
Well, and that, David Ellison got a Christmas present from his dad a few days early. His dad's still trying to get him Paramount for Christmas. So he walked in there with a $42 billion irrevocable personal guarantee. So this thing is not a done deal. I know people are saying it's going to be Netflix, but not necessarily. So um, eh, and you're right. Either way, sort of, as long as it's up in the air, James Gunn gets to play caretaker because they don't want to, make any big moves or whatever. But and it's not like Snyder is the only choice. It's not like between Gunn and Snyder.
No, but listen, they understand that Snyder. See, the thing is that I've always been, and I think that's why I'm a decent reporter on all these matters. Is I've been rather, I don't know if to say neutral, because on one hand, I recognize that when you let Snyder write stuff, it's not good. As somebody here in the chat said, I prefer not to see him writing screenplays. I also think that Snyder is the type of director that could benefit from a very strong producer that
Yeah.
tells him, "Hey, you don't need to do a 7 hour slow mo shot here. Just focus on the movie. Let's focus on that. Let's move things along." He needs that kind of person, and he also needs a screenplay that's tight. And I think that under the right setting like that, I think that Snyder can shine. But because he does have a cool visual style, in my opinion, it's just some of the other stuff has some issues.
Yeah, but
Uh,
why wouldn't you give it to Matt Reeves, who's the only guy that's actually made successful stuff for DC lately?
I think that the problem with Matt Reeves, I'm not saying I don't know for sure. I don't know if it's true. There was times that people said that he had some personal issues and that maybe making a lot of stuff, he can't really do a ton of things. So I think he'll be able to do his second Batman movie, maybe work on more Penguin or whatever it is. But I don't. It's possible that they can only put so much on his plate. I could be wrong, but that was my impression.
Yeah,
Um,
I did hear something similar, but it also sounds like that's may have been resolved. But like if it were me, they always forget to call and ask for my opinion. It's like I wouldn't use any of the if I wasn't using that, I wouldn't use Gunn or Snyder, man. There are other people out there. Who's the guy that did what's the Boomerang, the creator? Um,
Gareth Edwards.
yeah, you could get Gareth Edward.
He for me, but I'll tell you the truth. He for me has a similar problem to Snyder. He has good visuals. I even dare say like I trust Gareth Edwards even less. I think he can do good visuals and he's good at the. There's certain aspects, VFX, visuals, camera work, things like that. I think it's good. The creator, he was the co-writer and I don't think there I didn't hate the creator, but I thought that it was a movie with a ton of missed opportunities. It felt like it was decent, but not great.
Well, I wouldn't let any of these guys write. I would go back to the old classic way where we found a good script and then we make it into a movie. I don't know what happened to that method. Um, I would wait until I had a good script. And yeah, I don't think any of these guys should be writing. It's only been in the last really 10 years or so where every director thinks they're this kind of solo auteur who can do it all. Like that's not usually been the case before. And that's why we've gotten so many better movies in the past. But yeah, I would find the other thing Gareth can do is bring it in on time and under budget. So if I had a good script, I very well may be willing to give him a shot.
I'm hesitant. I feel like the guy has certain aspects that he's brilliant, but I feel like Gareth Edwards I almost think should have been a cinematographer, and I still think that neither of the people that we talked about are strong enough directors, but like I don't know. What do I know? I again, I guess I can't believe I'm saying this. I think that if I had to choose between Zack Snyder not writing the screenplay and having a good producer on his back, or breathing down his neck, whatever you want to call it. And between Gareth Edwards, I would take Zack Snyder.
Oh,
Gareth Edwards, I don't trust that he like. There's something very clinical and not personal about his movies. I feel like he doesn't bring the emotion out. He doesn't draw you in, get you invested in the story. There's something very kind of cold and disconnected. Like he's so good with VFX and visuals and cinematography that he just doesn't even remember that there's actors there. That's how I felt when I watched The Creator too. And again, I didn't hate The Creator, but I felt like it had issues. There is from the Real Head Case 199. What did you guys think about The Shield? Goggle?
yeah,
Uh,
I'm not sure what he's asking there.
okay. Basically, I was saying something about the DM that you DM'd me something that you wanted me to tell you if I know some information about something, and I think it's best to Google it because I don't really know if I can help, but I'll DM you that separately. What do you guys think about the Shield? Well, I actually think that the Shield is a good show. During the time when it came out, there weren't a lot of shows like it, and this kind of crooked cop that we're seeing things from his perspective, with great performances from Michael Chiklis and from Walton Goggins. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about that show. The only thing I'll say is that the show was 7 seasons, and it may have been better to end this show after 5 seasons rather than seven. The later seasons do feel like you're starting to just either repeating themselves or I don't know what. So you got that. And on the flip side, I'll say that the finale of the show is great. From what I recall, the finale is like, exactly what you expect from a finale. And I think they did a good job. So, finale good. Maybe the later seasons too much. But overall, if you think about the quality, it's great. They pushed whatever they could on cable TV, like more than anything you've seen on other shows, and took a lot of risks, try to do things that we don't see every day, and it's a very quality show. I think that Breaking Bad wouldn't exist without shows like The Shield. I think that when Vince Gilligan has been in interviews, he said like Sopranos, The Shield, those are things that really like appeal to him. And I can see why, because it's like an anti-hero that you're rooting for the guy even though he's a crooked cop, but you're sort of rooting for him. And yeah. Did you see The Shield, Stephobos?
Yeah, it was a fantastic show, and not only that, this was 25 years ago, and look at the naturally diverse cast on that show. But they never had to say anything about it or show off or virtue signal. You know, we had Forrest Whitaker and Michael Jace and Paula with the big, things, and like it was just a naturally diverse cast that felt organic. But the show itself was fantastic, and the uh, um, I agree. Maybe any show that runs for 7 seasons is usually sort of running out of gas and either is retreading old ground or becoming a parody of itself by then. But man, the show started off strong and it maintained strong for a good 5 seasons. And
Yeah, Goggins was on The Shield. Goggins was fantastic. That's what really put him on the map. He was great on The Shield.
yeah, so are they talking about remaking that or rebooting or something? Because that question just seemed to come out of nowhere for me.
I don't know, but the real head case asked, so we answered him. And yeah, Goggins is
Yeah.
great on that thing. And really, there's so much to like about The Shield. Also, keep in mind during those days, you didn't have like 5 episodes like on streaming on Netflix. They had a ton of episodes every season. They really delivered something good there. So
Yeah,
considering
yeah.
the
22
quantity,
episodes a year, man.
right?
Jeez.
If you compare the quantity of the episodes to the quality of the show, it's really an achievement. The only thing I'll say is, and I don't want to get into what it is because I don't want to spoil it if people hadn't seen it. There's one scene in this entire series that I admit, like, managed to, uh, I don't know if looking for a word that like I
Disturb.
found it disturbing.
Okay.
It has something to do with, like, the chief, like, the police chief, one of the police chiefs, and man, I that it's just like, until today, like, I wish they hadn't put that in there, like, I could have done without that.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple scenes, as I recall, in that show that I found very disturbing, and viscerally powerful, and maybe I could have done without seeing that. But in general, um, now there was a show that almost seemed like it was the spiritual successor to The Shield. I think, was it Chicago PD? Maybe did you see
I
that?
don't think that's a successor to The Shield. I've seen Chicago PD once or twice, but that's like a more of a just as run of the mill network show. Uh,
Um.
I don't know. I guess they were
Oh.
trying. Maybe you say spiritual successor because I think somebody in Chicago PD is a guy that was once crooked and now he's not crooked or something. I don't know.
Oh no, they were all crooked,
Oh,
but there
I
were
don't
this.
remember now.
There were a special detachment, a special division of Chicago that didn't play by the rules, and for a long time nobody wanted to. They were all crooked as hell, kind of in a different way. They were crooked in a way that they were just bypassing due process. Usually, they were killing bad guys and framing them and setting them up and bending and breaking all the rules. I don't know. I thought the first couple seasons of that were definitely worth watching, but the wheels kind of fell off of that one as well. But yeah,
I
I
see.
help but think of the Shield when I was watching that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I really didn't get into the other. I saw an episode of it, but I guess maybe I didn't realize what was going on there. So don't really know. But we did go over the real head case super chat, so definitely gave him his money's worth, I would say.
Well, as long as we're talking about Vince Gilligan, should we?
Pluribus.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we can talk about that. Did you watch the finale?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to tell you what I think. It felt a bit lackluster to me.
How could it not, given the bill? I will say, a lot of stuff happened in this one episode, and I'm like, if the previous seven had moved along like this one, I think we would be in a much different place. It's it's like they saved up everything to all happen at once on the finale. Um,
I mean,
b-
the show is a slow burn, but I feel like throughout the season there were times that I felt it was too slow, and if at least they would have brought it home with an eighth episode or with the last few episodes, pick up the pace consistently and really deliver a big punch at the end. But it almost felt like there was nothing special at the end. I mean,
well, I don't think there was any way they could have brought it home because there was no setup for anything. It's not a slow burn; it is a glacial burn,
yeah.
and literally everything that happened over the whole season could have been done in one episode. Now, I thought between episodes 1 and 2, there was a whole season of television in there they could have explored. Um, but they chose to move past that and immediately get to the place where the action doesn't happen. I really don't think there was any way they were going to be able to bring this one home because there were no real pieces to bring together. But all I'm saying is that stuff happened. For once, I wasn't holding my finger on the fast forward button throughout the whole episode.
Oh, okay. So Professor R2 says Vince says that he had a bigger ending for this finale, but Apple wanted him to change it and be a bigger cliffhanger. But you know what? Is it such a cliffhanger? I just kind of ended like,
No,
oh, whatever. Like, if it needed to do a cliffhanger, I feel like the cliffhanger wasn't strong enough for me.
listen, I wish the studios would fucking get off this whole cliffhanger thing. It doesn't make people stick around. It doesn't make the show better. What it does is make it impossible for the following season to get moving quickly because they have to waste too much time to wrap up the previous season. Cliffhangers are a bad idea, and I wish the studios would start to realize that it's a bad freaking idea and you want to have your seasons, you can have a stinger on the end to set up something else. But man, you need to wrap up everything that happened in a season. It's the only way to make satisfying television, and they really need to get off this cliffhanger bullshit. That's my rant.
Yeah, I see now, but he even Vince Gilligan is saying that he wanted a more kind of low-key, ending for, season 1, and, the original plan was a quieter, more covert continuation of Carol's double agent role, but the network pushed for a bigger, more impactful ending, which Gilligan is glad they went with. Yeah, I don't know what to say. All I know is that, it just didn't feel strong enough to me. It
No,
felt like there needed to be one more episode where something more serious happens. I mean, yeah, okay, there's some bomb at the end, who cares? Like,
yeah,
I don't know, I just it didn't whenever that wow factor was supposed to happen with that revelation, I just like, whatever,
yeah,
you know?
double agent. She's not a double agent. You can do everything out in the open with these guys. They're not going to stop. She has a mixed mind about certain things. Yeah, but she's not a freaking double agent. She was selfish and bitchy, and she goes off and does the crappy thing until she realizes that it won't end well for her, and then she comes back and does the right thing.
Professor
That's not a
R2, and I
double
agree with
agent.
him. He says cliffhangers don't work when the next season doesn't come for 2+ years.
Yeah,
Agreed.
or three. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at what happened with Severance. Does the whole thing. By the time the thing came around, so lackluster, and like it's so annoying when they do cliffhangers and then they don't even know what to do with it. So
Yeah, and Lasher said in the 90s, cliffhangers only made you wait 3 months. But even so, it just means, they don't believe the show is good enough on its own. And that, I'm much more likely to come back to a show that gave me a satisfying conclusion than I am for a show that pissed me off and made me had to wait a year to come back. It's not going to stick with you as well. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a gimmick, and it's a gimmick that they started using way too much, and I'm just tired of it. So, um, also, I was saying through most of the season, it's going to end where he's going to knock on her door, she's going to open it, and Manudos is going to be right there. And then next season, that didn't happen, but kind of it did anyway. Like when they say they wanted a bigger cliff, there was nothing cliffhangery about this. There's nothing in any single episode. Not enough ever happens for it to be a cliffhanger, except for the first episode. There's just like nothing really going on to the point where I feel like, oh, I've got to watch the next one.
What good shows do, and what I felt happened, even if you look at Breaking Bad, is that the season sort of builds up something, but as you get to the final maybe 3 episodes of a season, the pace starts picking up, picking up, picking up, and there's more events happening, more events, and when you get to finale, the most, like, bonkers things are happening, and then maybe after this whole situation, the finale ends, and you're, like, already taken for a roller coaster ride, there's a little bit of something to leave you interested in the next season, which hopefully wouldn't take them 5 years to make. But in pluribus, I didn't feel like the last few episodes picked up the pace the way Breaking Bad did. I feel like maybe the last episode tried a bit, but it was very, very slow. The show is too slow. It needs to be faster. The
Yeah,
only thing I can
absolutely.
say is, if I had to say one thing, Vince Gilligan, the first season of Breaking Bad, and especially like the first 5 episodes, it's difficult to get through them. And once you get through them and you're sort of riding that wave with the 6th, 7th, 8th episode, whatever it is, you start feeling like you're riding that wave. Once the second season kicks in, it really shifts gear. So I'm hoping that Vince Gilligan can work his Gilligan magic, and it's not the worst show I've seen. I like the concept. I just hope that it gets better.
Yeah, they definitely picked up the pace, but only in this very last episode. To me, it felt like it almost dragged on the penultimate and the pre-penultimate episodes. But there's something there that I still, there's something there that's compelling enough that I kept coming back, but I wasn't really like happy about it. There was no, it's not like Landman where I can't wait for the next episode and it feels like it's 5 minutes and it's just so joyful and fun to watch. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is almost like watching a TV show about a different TV show. I don't
Yeah.
know how else to describe it.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Karate Werewolf says, "Lioness does suck. Fuck that girl boss trash." Sorry, Sean. Yeah, the thing with Lioness is I like Zoe Saldana. I really do like her. And the first season, as preposterous as it was, I do like her. And I watched it. I'm like, this is all right. And it wasn't the best show I've seen, but I didn't completely hate it either. And I got through it, even though, yes, like they made her more of a girl boss, but at least I like her. So I watched it, and once it ended, though, I think it disappeared for a very long time. And once it came back, I could barely even remember what happened. I started watching the second season, and I don't remember what I saw like in the first episode or two, but I just stopped watching it.
Yeah, it was listen, I actually enjoyed the first season because even though there were girl bossiness, man, she got her ass kicked a bunch and she was brutalized. And I liked the other characters. I liked the camaraderie of her team. Like there was more to watch than just her. But every time Nicole Kidman was on screen, her face just it bothered me. It was weird. Her face looked so artificial and plastic. It was really disturbing to watch her.
I mean, that's what happens today when I see her in general. Nicole Kidman, and there's no way around this, has gotten too much work. And at this point, I guess like whatever they did with her face, they pull back so much. So she always has this look like, like she's gonna stab you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's like a look like she looks like there's something wrong with her because she can't move her thing. It's too much. I mean, I don't really know. It's not my job. I don't know how these things work, but I think that there could be a point where maybe you do too much procedures. And unfortunately for her, I think she's done it. There were years back in the day that I think, there were movies like Batman Forever, which Nicole Kidman looked fantastic in that movie. But I feel like maybe she started too early with the procedures and did too many of them. I know some people will say, "Well, you're just some jerk dude guy. What are you saying? You don't know what it's like to be a woman in Hollywood." And maybe I don't know. All I know is that lady did too many procedures. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Listen, you don't have to be an expert to know that looking at something is disturbing and it looks unnatural. We're all evolved and keyed in to identify stuff that doesn't fit in, that doesn't look right. You can do that by clocking the gait of somebody 200 yards away. Your brain can recognize somebody that you know. There's just certain things we're all really good at doing, like recognizing human faces. And when something isn't right, we know that. And when you look at her, yeah, it's probably all of that. Too much stuff too soon. And then you compare it, and the star is like some 22-year-old person with really good skin. So you're going back, and Zaldana has great skin too. So you're looking at the three of them, and it's like you're looking at a very attractive younger woman, an attractive medium woman, and a mannequin. And your brain just has to constantly switch gears. It was very disturbing for me. All that being said, yes, it's very female focused, but I didn't find it so girl bossy because I just thought the story was compelling enough and I liked the other
The
supporting
first season,
characters.
you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there was no tearing down of anybody. It was just
Right.
yeah, they were building these badass chicks up, but they weren't tearing down the men to make them seem better.
I don't know what happened in the second one. I watched maybe an episode. I don't know if I got an episode or two into it, and I kind of just dropped it. I don't know why. I don't remember
Oh,
what annoyed me. Maybe I was tired when I watched it, but I just felt like again a lot of time had passed from season to season. I barely remembered, but whatever I was seeing didn't seem interesting. I also think that the
yeah,
first season had she was training some lady to
yeah.
be like a soldier, and I felt that this first episode of the second season kind of dropped all of that. Like
Yeah,
I was
they
what happened to that lady from the first season? I don't even know what happened to her.
well, she comes back in because they need to have this lesbian relationship with the new lioness, but what they did is they started making Zoe Saldana, who is an analyst. She's a planner. She works in an office desk. All of a sudden, they're putting her out in the field, and she's being like this ultimate badass chick herself. And none of it felt right at all. Here's a woman with like some kids at home, and they really need their mother, and she's going across the border with a gun, shooting guys and stuff. And you're like, that's not what people who work at a desk in the CIA, they don't do that. So that's probably, but they did bring the first season woman back in to help coerce the new
Oh,
lioness that they recruited via blackmail for this one, and it just got the plausibility meter just went off the scale.
sounds dumb. Professor Artu says our ancestors learned to identify those who were not part of our tribe and those who were better at it survived. Not really sure what the context is.
Oh, when I was saying we recognize unnatural things, we recognize stuff that belongs, that fits in. Um, and he's right. That's part of it.
I guess. Uh, in any case, too much estrogen. Yeah, I feel like this is, if I had to say in a nutshell, and I'm not sure, some of these movies or shows, sometimes they get away with something and get away in the terms of that in our day and age when you put like stuff that's a bit too girl bossy and annoying, people get annoyed. In some cases, if you manage to pull it off, the good reaction to it is that you just say thank you and move on. But
Yeah.
what they do in Hollywood is they get greedy. They're like, wait, we did this lioness and it did well. What if we do it even more girl bossy? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you overdid it. This is too much girl boss. Same with Stranger Things. It's like, oh, like we made a character LG, and then like there was a girl boss there with Nancy, and it's like, yeah, and then they're like, what if we had another gay character and more girl bosses? And it's like, nope, nope, we don't need that many of them. Like you did it, and people were cool with your show. Embrace that and continue telling your story. Don't be like, oh, we can do even more messaging. It's like they always get greedy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they're like,
Oh, oh
instead of being
yeah.
thankful that they managed to subtly do whatever and people were okay with it, they're like, "No, let's do more." Actually, Star Wars sequel trilogy, is the same thing. They did the whole, like, Force is female with, Force Awakens, but they somehow got away with it, and what was their immediate reaction?
Doubling
More of that.
down. Yeah. It's like
Let's quadruple down on this. Every man is
yeah.
garbage. All the women are the best. Ray is the best. Ryan Johnson, make that movie. And that's the movie we got because they got greedy. That's the part that nobody wants to admit, that they're greedy assholes. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah, it's sort of like you like the girl boss, well, meet super girl boss. You like Force is female, meet super Force is super female. And you mentioned it on your last show when you were talking about a remake. All of the changes were done based on ideology, not story. And that's another problem. Okay, we got away with this once. We were a little bit subtle, and now that worked. We got away with it. So exactly. Let's make more changes, but they're not based on the narrative. They're not based on the story. The changes are all there for essentially political reasons.
Well, Karate Werewolf says, "Are you disappointed?" And he meant because he corrected it, uh, that Apple did not release the Savant. And my opinion on that is, I'm disappointed because it seemed like such a shit show. Sorry, Sean, that I would have liked to have seen it, and I think I would have liked to have reviewed it. So I wish they had released it, but I guess we're not getting it for now. Maybe we'll get it at a later point. The fact that they shelved that thing says a lot about how good or bad it was.
Yeah.
They must have known something. Somebody looked at that and said, "You know what? Don't do that." I will say that if there was ever a time that I think that the critical drinker single-handedly influenced something, like in that way, I think that after he made his video making fun of it and saying what a disaster it was going to be, watched by like a few million people, immediately following that, that's when the decision was made to shelve it. I can't help but feel that in this specific instance, he may have like pushed them over the line on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Tip the scale. Like you probably think, "Oh, these studios don't watch this thing." They absolutely watch it. They absolutely watch it. I will say this: the critical drinker, I'm sure the studios watch it when they release a movie and they see his video, and if he's taking a dump on your movie, I am sure that they are not happy, and they know that it does matter. Because if, let's say, like, 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 people watch, between 1,000,000 to 2,000,000 watch this video, and he says that kind of stuff about it, they may have just lost like 1,000,000 people that may have paid money to see the movie. Plus, it's already like a negative buzz building up.
Um, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think, oh, it was um, so, Caleb said the narrator is never satiated. And that's the thing with activists. It's never enough, right? They're like, "Oh, we need more rights. We need better rights. We need more of these kind of." It will never be enough. So once you start doing something, you're going to continually double down until they're stopped because it's never enough for these people. And you know what? I didn't really think about the drinkers video, but you may actually be right. He came out of the gate. His take on that was brutal and made it
Right.
look
It was a
just,
brutal video.
yeah, ridiculous and
I want
silly.
to
And
check something. Critical drinker. What was it called? The Savant.
yeah, I think as a content creator, everyone's disappointed the show didn't get released. But as a consumer, I'm sort of glad it's not around.
Okay, I'm gonna take this with, with a grain of salt, but when I Googled it, I said "critical drinker, the savant," and I Googled it, and I don't know what publication this is. This could be just a piece of shit publication. Sorry, Sean. It says Apple TV Plus pulls woke disaster The Savant starring Jessica Chastain after lambasting by the critical drinker. Do you see this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the
Now,
main
I don't know
daily
what
news.
Mac Daily News is. I don't know if this is like a legit thing or not. I have nothing to say about it, but all I know is that somebody at least saw fit to write this article claiming that, it was his thing. And I actually felt that way cuz until that moment they hadn't announced it, but like he released his video and I felt like within 24 hours they shelved it. Like, let's see, I'm curious how many views his 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 video got. Let me see. Where's the Savant? It got 885,000 views. I would think this one could have gotten, some of his got like 2,000,000.
Yeah, yeah,
But 885,000 is still bad enough, I guess. Plus, they wasn't the only person that was laughing at them. I think, like, Gary Nerdrotic was laughing at them as well. So, yeah, definitely. It definitely, I think, had something to do with it. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's the only reason. Maybe there were
Well,
already people like,
no,
uh,
Charlie Kirk's assassination probably had a lot to do with it too.
I'm
So
sure it did, but still, even with all of that, they still didn't do it until he did his video.
yeah,
It's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were a few others. I see Disprove made one. I think that you got like people like, Gary did stuff. There was certainly, and this guy who this guy is the guy that's like built an entire brand on just whining about the critical drinker,
oh, I
and he
hate
wrote,
that guy.
"Critical drinker goes mask off when discussing the savant." What's sad is that this guy, I think, actually has, followers. The funny thing about him is that for a long time, like, most of his videos just crying about, like, critical drinker and Nerdrotic. Like, if you wanna do something that's different, why don't you say why you like the shows? What do? They mainly just cry about them, those other guys. What's it called? Organized Chaos? Let's see if I can find this guy. Can you see this? Oh, I wasn't even sharing?
Oh no, no, yeah, I can't see.
This whole time, I'm just, like, looking at stuff by myself. Did you see the article, though, with the critical drinker? No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
looked it
that
up over here. The Mac Daily News, it seems to be a lot of Macintosh based publications seem to be sharing the same headline.
I see. Well, let me try to find, this thing. Give me a second. I wanna try, for starters, to see what's, organized chaos. I don't know, I can't find it. Where is that weirdo?
I don't know. I know there's several channels that are trying to build their name on simply contradicting Drinker, and their arguments are never logical.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he has 27,000 followers. He's been around for a long time. Well, he's been around from 2014, but I feel like the majority for a very long time was him, like, crying about the drinker, and now, let's see what he does. He tries to make these kind of neurotic fonts, and, he has the dumbest chud, I guess that's referring to Disprue. Critical drinker and melts down over Star Wars women in Star Trek. I do like to see that his numbers went down because I don't see how, like, for a while he would do that and it actually, like, for a while he would do that and he would get some views. Something happened and now he's getting less of it
Yeah,
for
they
whatever reason.
started cracking down on bots.
Well, I mean, he's allowed to do that. He's not a bot. He can go and talk shit about all these, like, creators.
No,
But
no,
I
no.
just
I'm saying he bought some views. That's what
That is
I'm saying.
possible too.
Yeah.
That is 100% possible because his views seem very, how do I put this? His views don't seem especially consistent with the type of following that he seemingly has. Now, it could be that, also because he started in 2014, back in the day, it was different. The whole platform was different. So I don't know if these are like older followers or newer followers. Don't really know what to say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you go far back, but man, his views are not even consistent with the number of subscribers, not even close. Like,
No, I mean, like, and how many videos did he just make crying? Like all of his videos, he's crying about, like, neurotic and critical drinker or whatever. It's like his whole platform is just doing this stupid thing.
listen, he has one top 10 best Deep Space Nine episodes. That should bring in some people, and it only got 217 views.
Oh, okay. And this is what how he may have gotten it. He has videos 10 years ago. He did a video that got 1 million views. So that
Ah,
means in 2015 he did a video. Very different back then making videos than it is today. Daredevil from 10 years ago he had 603,000. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that perhaps the larger portion of his following came, 10 years ago, 9 years ago. I see that his videos are a lot more like, drawing in a lot more people during that era. That's probably what helped him build his following. I don't know that from these later videos of him, like, doing thumbnails of like Disprue
But
and
like I said,
you
anger
know
is monetizable.
yeah. It looked like the million one is like DC versus Marvel or something.
what'd you say? Yeah, it was something like that. Somebody could claim, say, "Oh, well, you do a lot of videos. You've recently done a lot about like Warner Brothers and stuff like that." But even though it's true, I have done that. There's two things that I'll say. First of all, I still insist, even amidst all the, James Gunn stuff, that sometimes there would be like a lot to report on, and I would do it. I still do my movie reviews, so you'll notice that a number of times a month I'll go to a movie and I'll put up a review. I sometimes report on some news on some other topics. So I try to make it that it's not my whole channel is just doing that. And the other thing is that me criticizing James Gunn for owning a brand like DC, for operating and being the creative executive over a brand like DC, and me thinking that he's doing a bad job, it's not the same thing as like me sitting around talking about the critical drinker all day. Talking about the
Yeah.
critical drinker is weird because he's a critic. Yeah, I mean, if there's something I want to say about him, I could do it, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like, if you're supposed to be reporting on pop culture, you can, and you think James Gunn, let's say, is so great, and you love like some movie, then make a video about how much you love that movie. Instead, all you can do is sit and like get upset at why critical drinker didn't like it or whatever it is.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's not even necessarily the same guy anymore that made that video with the million views.
How do you what do you mean it's not the same guy?
It could be somebody took over his channel, he could have
Oh,
sold
that's
it to
possible
someone.
too, that happens
Yeah,
sometimes. I mean, you
because
know,
'cause I'm looking, most of his videos, 188 views, 200 views, 117, and this is 10 years ago, and he has one, you know, during the peak of Marvel and DC, that does 1,000,000. So, um, yeah, who knows? I just know lately, like, people that whine about the drinker are some of the most boring videos, content I've ever seen, because their arguments are absurd. They don't really have any legitimate talking points. They're just going in and saying, the drinker said this and he's wrong because feelings.
no, they play this video and then they stop it every second to argue with everything that he says. Usually their arguments are so dumb and they can
Yeah.
only work on these kind of like, normie dum-dums that like, are programmed to just believe whatever they're told. I myself, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for others. And I am very critical even of things like if it's videos of somebody like the critical drinker, I can be very critical. I if I genuinely, and I have for many years before most people even knew what the critical drinker was, if I enjoyed his videos, because I started watching him when he had like tens of thousands of viewers, if I was able to enjoy it, and I think that my viewership of his channel was very organic. There's so many people that later, when he had like millions of followers, is like, oh, the critical drinker. But that wasn't me. He didn't have millions when I started watching him. It was more of like our more niche kind of corner of the internet, and I thought that he was doing a really great job. I will even dare say that at least one of the reasons why I end up posting videos and doing reviews is very much I was inspired by the kind of work that Critical Drinker does because I just I liked his style of what he was doing. I like that he was just so blunt and direct, just kind of
Yeah.
doing his thing. And I hadn't quite seen something uh, exactly like that before. I'd seen things, but not exactly like that. And initially, I don't know, the my main channel, I wanted to do like I've said this a million times. I wanted to do like a puppet that goes around and interviews people and things like that. And you had the couve and you had all this stuff, and I couldn't do it. It wasn't practical for me to do that. And for maybe a year I like stopped altogether. I just didn't post any videos. I didn't do anything, and I was rather down about it. And there was all that kind of couve and all that stuff, so I wasn't in the mood. And then I think one day somebody that knows me, and he said, you like that critical drinker guy, you could do reviews. And I said, I don't think I can do them better than him. And the person said to me, well, you can do them in your style, you could do them your way, you could do it. And I ended up doing it, and I don't regret it. I still don't think that I'm on that level, but I think that I'm at least on a halfway decent level.
Oh, your videos are good, man. Don't be falsely modest. They're great, and I think you have a very loyal following that depends on your take on things, to decide if they're going to spend a significant amount of money or not. And
I
it's
am
a
very
public
very
service.
humbled if that's true. I don't know if like I'm the first person on their list that they value my opinion or not, but if there's people that see that I posted a video and they want to look at it, I'm very very grateful.
Well, you're
I even felt grateful now in the past few days where oh, wait, somebody gifted some I'll get to that in 1 second. I just wanna finish my thought that, a few days ago, I hesitated. I saw this early screening of a movie with Daisy Ridley, and I hesitated if to post. I did a review, and I didn't know if to post it on, like, the 2nd channel where I do more, like, smaller movies, or maybe do it on my regular channel. And I thought to myself, I'll put it on my regular channel, probably, like, nobody will wanna watch it. I don't know if anybody even cares about this. And I posted it, and some people have been watching it, and it made me feel nice that people, actually pressed play and watched it, even though it may not be the top thing that they're interested in, but they still watched it. And I'm not that I'm going to like, jerk people around all day and just put stuff that I don't think they'll like, but I was really grateful that people actually watched it.
well. Listen, I have to say this because there's a fallacy when people approach people like you and the critical drinker, when you're critics, or they're coming at you in bad faith because they're making an assumption that you are telling people what to think rather than people organically coming to you because they're already in simpatico with your opinions. Critical Drinker is not brainwashing anybody. He is telling people that have already decided that his opinion is sort of aligned with theirs. And if he doesn't like something and you don't like something, there's a good chance they won't either. But the bad faith approach of these critics is that like somehow he's brainwashing people into not liking something they would like. The whole reason I started seeking out YouTube reviews is I thought I was crazy because everyone's saying how good this stuff is, and I think it's absolute shit. Am I just too old? Am I out of touch? Am I insane? And then I find people, okay, I've seen this movie, you're reviewing it. We have similar ideas on that movie. I can trust you. So the next time you review a movie I haven't seen, I think there's a good chance my opinion's going to fall somewhere in your acceptability spectrum.
Yeah, first of all, it was very kind of you to mention me and him in the same sentence. He is a far superior and, very successful. But if there's some people that watch mine, Caleb Levine said, "I love your reviews, Price." I'm so thankful. All I can do is just do my reviews, and if people enjoy them, I'm always very grateful. Hey,
Oh,
One Dirty Bird, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a minute.
the
And
important thing though is you're consistent. That's the thing because you're actually authentic and you're not going off of some agenda. If something maybe offends you, but it's still good, you'll be honest about that. And it's the consistency. That's the reason that people can rely on your opinion.
Right, I mean, even there's movies that I like, I'll give you an example. I saw the movie well, I'll get to it in a second. Some Late Guy, Long Island 90. Drinker seems fun for sure, but honestly, I barely care what most critics say about things. I like what I like, and all I care about is that they are entertaining. Critics barely sway my opinion and my honest opinion. That's fair enough. It's good that people wanna check out for themselves. Professor says it's all textbook bitching. He's a racist, sexist, homophobic monster. I hate him so much. His opinions are always wrong. I get a lot of that stuff. I've gotten such weirdos recently. More and more weirdos come to my videos and write the strangest things. Uh, some of them looking for like trying to find ways to offend me or things like that. I don't really care. I feel like I'm developing thicker skin. I know some people are just going to get upset and their reactions are going to be dumb. I want to see though what Karate Werewolf did because I feel like he did something, and I want to make sure that I don't miss it. So
He
let's.
dropped some memberships.
Yes, he did. He sent 5 Price of Reason Price of Reason live gift memberships. It's a late hour. Let's see for a second. Thank you so much. This is very, very nice of you, Karate Werewolf. I appreciate all the super chats, all the people that do what they do. I don't usually bother people. I don't say, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that," and I always try to avoid being like a PBS guy. But I, at the same time, always appreciate when people uh, do share like that, and I'm very grateful for it too. So, just want to clarify that. And now let's see if I can share this thing so we can give him some credit for what he's done here. So yeah, Karate Werewolf sent 5 Price of Reason live gift memberships, and then you have a few people got it. Okay, so Anthony Shaddock 7594 got one. Ben Voice Actor got one. Scribelight, friend of the channel, got one. Peepers one received one. Q2 Cast TV received one as well. And yeah, that's uh Karate Werewolf says, "Yes, Price." Sorry, this is a real head case. Says, "Yes, Price. I'm here because I'm interested in what you have to say. Thank you. I appreciate that." Uh, Karate Werewolf says, "I like your videos. I listen to them when I'm going to sleep." That's perfect. There's nothing that'll put you to sleep better than my reviews. And
Um, but listen, if somebody's consistent, I can get a lot out of their reviews, even if I don't agree with them. Because if I'm consistently not agreeing with somebody, that gives me information as well. So, but you can tell these shills, they're not consistent. They're not being honest. They're not being authentic. And so what they say is of no value whatsoever when they're coming from something. Grace Randolph's a great example. She is all over the place with her reviews. And in one of her videos, she admitted her job was to protect Disney and Marvel and to cover for them. And I'm like, how do you bring value to your viewers when your real purpose is to do that sort of thing?
She doesn't really. But Professor Ardu said I would look at Morgan Stern's reviews in the Wall Street Journal back in the day because I trusted his opinion. He wasn't telling me what to think, respected what he had to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't force people to like something or not. I can just share my views. And what you were saying is to Phobos about me sometimes giving grades that, even to things that I don't love. People think that because they look at my thumbnails and sometimes they look a little sensational. Unfortunately, when you're on YouTube, you have to have thumbs and thumbnails that people will click on. But if you
Yeah.
know me well enough and you know that I watch a movie, and even if there's a lot of stuff that I didn't like, I'm also going to really try to look for things that I did like. Meaning, uh, I'll give you an example, and this is a polarizing movie. I saw a movie, I was with a group of people. I knew that I didn't wanna see this movie, that it wouldn't be my cup of tea. I saw the commercial. I really didn't even wanna go, and I didn't feel like even for the review, I didn't feel like seeing it. But I was with a few people, and they convinced me, and we went to see this movie. It was called, Don't Blink, Blink Twice, or something like that. Blink Twice, I think that's what it was called. Now Blink Twice was a movie that Zoe Kravitz, I think, wrote and directed or whatever it is, and it's basically sort of a Jeffrey's Island meets the Me Too movement.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It is exactly awful in the way you would think it would be awful. And I watched the movie and I couldn't stand it. I absolutely did like despise this movie. And with that being said, when I watched it, I thought that considering that it was a very low budget movie, I don't know if it cost like 15 million or something like that, 15 to 20 million to make. Considering the budget that Zoe Kravitz had and the movie she put together with very little, relatively for Hollywood, I thought that the movie was competently made. Now, somewhat. It's not the best. There were certainly things that I could like, level some criticism, but there were things that I thought a certain style. I didn't think that what she did in some aspects was bad, but overall when I watched the movie, I couldn't stand it. So when I gave the grade, I did something that was very difficult for me. I was in pain. I felt pain when I made this review, and I said I think at the end that I'll give it a 60 out of 100 even though I don't recommend the movie to anybody. And the reason I said it is because, if it was about a subject matter that I did like, if it was about, let's say, a movie about like, dudes like, in the jungle, like with machine guns, like taking care of a threat or something, kind of like in Predator. There's something cool like that that's going on with like camaraderie and like dude bros. Even if it's not like the strongest movie, maybe I'd be like, well, it's pretty competently made and it has some things that I like in it. Maybe I'll give it a passing grade. So the fact that it was about a subject matter that I didn't like, I still struggled, but I said, "You gotta be fair, and you gotta give the passing grade even though I didn't like it." Even James Gunn's Superman, which you could hear a review of me how much I didn't like it, I gave it like a 60 out of 100, which basically 59 is a failing grade for me. I gave it a 60 because I said it's an okay movie if it wasn't Superman, but it's not a good Superman movie. Meaning, if you just wanted some dumb, goofy, stupid movie about some dumb, stupid superhero, this probably would have been fine. Because it's a Superman movie, it's not I can't say that it's a good movie. Honestly, I could have also failed that movie. Maybe I was too generous. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and think to myself, maybe I was too generous that day. But at the end of the day, I gave it a 60 out of 100 even though I'm like complaining the whole review. So what I'm trying to say is that even when I say that I don't like stuff, I don't always just look to fail everything. It's just that I don't need to give it a good grade though. And I think most people know me that if something is getting a 60 out of 100, I don't think that that's an especially good movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying goodnight to Professor R2. he says he's going to bed, so.
Oh, good night, Professor R2. Gotta get to bed, friends. More driving to do tomorrow. Happy Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day, man. Thank you, and thank you for stopping by. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that I try to be as fair as I can, and I'm not just the jerk like that everybody says. Even some people come to my comment. They probably didn't even watch the video, or they didn't watch it until the end. They're like, "How dare you? How dare you? Did you even watch my video? You didn't watch anything." And sometimes I write that. I'm like, are you making a comment based on the thumbnail that, like, doesn't say what my verdict about the movie is? Because if you're not gonna watch the video, then why are you even commenting? I don't really start saying all of that. I just say it in a much nicer way. Because
Uh,
the thing on YouTube is you probably don't wanna fight with people. I feel like YouTube is not like Twitter. You don't wanna sit around and curse everybody. If you gotta, you gotta develop thick skin. So you'll see a lot of jerk offs, writing about a bunch of shit, but you still have to kind of, it's not a good idea to attack them back. I don't know how we got here.
yeah.
How did we get here as the Phobos?
Oh, well, we were talking about reviews in general, and see, there's something with like Superman or the Predator movie. You cannot divorce the movie from its historical trappings, its legacy. If you're going to make a Superman movie, you're not going to have the freedom just to do what you want to do. You are the caretaker of a story that's much bigger than you. And the reviews need to take account for that. Like, what
Predator
my
was, in a way, I think that Predator, I can't believe I'm going to say this, is the only time James Gunn can be happy. I think that Predator Badlands was worse for Predator than James Gunn was for Superman, and that's really saying something. Because Predator Badlands took something that was supposed to be scary and menacing and a threat and turned it into a complete fucking joke. Worse than what James Gunn did with Superman. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's just Superman is a more high profile icon, but Badlands is a shameful disaster.
they turned it into Lilo and Stitch. I'm surprised that Elle Fanning didn't grab the Predator and go Ohana. Like it was
Totally that. Yeah, it was a complete disgrace what they did there.
Superman has a bit more of a its sort of own legacy that's stronger, so it can resist more bad things. But dude, when I saw Superman, I was infuriated. I was really pissed off at the disrespect that it was showing 20 minutes in, man, and my knuckles were red and I'm like, "Oh my god, this sucks. It's really pissing me off." It got better as the movie went into it, but I'll never forgive him for literally pissing on the legacy of Superman, and now with Supergirl, he is actually literally
Right,
pissing
that's
on
even worse.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think, and also there was something where I wrote like after Predator Badlands came out, I did first of all my review, and then I did a separate video, which I sometimes do, that I just said why I thought that the movie was basically a box office flop, why according to all the models I had in mind, the movie isn't going to do well. And it's at the end. I said exactly what the range is that it's going to end in the box office, and it ended up exactly like I said. I posted that video, and there's so many weirdos. It's like, I'm not asking for you for how you feel about the movie. It was a video about me explaining why this movie is losing money. You can like that movie if you want. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
also getting upset at somebody because he liked or didn't like a movie, especially okay, if it's, let's say, a situation where there's certain shills or certain activists that, like, as soon as there's like a girl boss, they immediately give it like 100, or it's like a Disney Star Wars and they invited them to premiere and they give it like 100. Those are the ones that are bullshit. And I think that in my reviews, if you really listen to them, I'm not just throwing around random crap. Like, I'm really going over the things I liked, I didn't like. If I didn't like it, I explained what I didn't like. And at the end, like when I give my grade, I give it as much thought as I can. So I don't know. It's just
You are very specific about the elements that work and don't work for you, and that's what I need. Like, yeah, I thought you did an act, especially given that you're not making 1 and 2 hour long videos. The way you're covering, like the Daisy Ridley movie, you were very specific. you were clear about, oh, this doesn't bother me. I might like this. This was really bad. And you basically, broke down the movie into the elements that you thought weren't working for the narrative. And it gives a lot of information to people to decide for themselves whether or not they want to go and spend money.
Right, it's the best I can do. And again, I'm not perfect, and sometimes I can also make mistakes. I'm not saying that everything I've done is good, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be whining. I'm happy that anybody's even watching, even the ones that hate me and just write terrible things about me. It's at least somebody's
yeah, I'm actually in a little back and forth in your Daisy Ridley video about somebody who thinks Daisy Ridley is the best actress since Sir Laurence Olivier, and I'm just trying to
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, they really. It's like she was so good in Star Wars, and then she was good. What was that Tom Holland movie with the weird thing? Like,
Something where there's women, something about her
yeah,
thoughts
it's
or
like
something. Yeah,
something Kerning, Death Stranding, something like that. Dude, she was awful in that. And he's like, she was so good. I'm like, then you just like her, and that's fine. But I'm not going to convince you that she's no Meryl Streep. So, but it's not worth.
here,
Man.
this one made me laugh. Do you want to see
Yeah,
a
yeah,
funny one? Are you ready?
yep.
Let me see. I'll share this on this rare occasion. I'm going to share it. This is the kind of stuff that makes me laugh. I'll show it to you right now. So, do you see these comments?
Yeah.
So the top one, I wrote box office flop, and if you watch my video, I'm going over numbers. It's not even like I went over the franchise history. I looked into all the things. I adjusted for inflation. I explained stuff that's like not even in, that I have to do extra steps on my end. Did like, an Excel sheet, do all this stuff, and I show everything. And somebody writes, aged like MILF a month ago. What do you mean aged like myth? It is a box office flop. I
Yeah.
said, something that was going to happen over the weeks to follow. And why I believe it's a box office flop, because I couldn't see the model going in a way where it's going to make money based on what was invested and based on the pacing of what was money that was being made, and what kind of legs this movie seemed to have. I couldn't see a path in which this thing becomes profitable. And what does this person write? Age like milk. It didn't age like milk. It aged like the best fucking wine ever. The best wine in the history of wine is what happened here.
I'm guessing they didn't even watch the review.
I think no, it wasn't a review. It was
Oh, or they didn't watch the video. Yeah.
So first of all, there was a part here that I actually showed adjusted for inflation, and I explained why the first one is the one that made the most money. Then I explained why AVP Requiem and Predators, whether you like them or not, were at least ones that made money because they budgeted them more wisely. Whereas Predator Badlands wasn't budgeted well, so based on what they did, based on how bad it was, I just couldn't see a situation that was going to make a lot of money. Now, let's look at this. Are you ready? I'm going to just show you
Yeah.
at the end. So my prediction here. Do you see it?
Let's see.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're not seeing any of this. Sorry, you have to tell me this stuff.
Well, I see the age of like milk. Are you expanding that or are you going somewhere else?
No, I went somewhere else. Hold on
Oh,
one
okay.
second.
Show me.
So, first of all, I shared this was part of the video. Like, I'm not just talking out of my ass. I'm showing you numbers. I'm adjusting for inflation. I'm explaining why, in some cases, it was smart and how they made money with the different colors, and how, in like, in other cases, they didn't make money. Showed where, as of that moment, that Predator Badlands was. So, this wasn't just me talking out of my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm actually sitting around and doing research and like doing shit. And then I was explaining, the money that was made, and then the final thing is here. Let me see if I can find it. Can you see this?
As prediction 175 to 225.
Right, and I said the break-even point is 262.5 million, but I couldn't see this making outside the 175 to 225 million. And then let's see what it made now. I haven't looked at a moment, so let's see what it made. Share this tab instead. What was called Predator Badlands. Sometimes the site is so slow.
Oh yeah, the numbers. It used to be zippy, and about last year, it takes a long time for it
It
to be
feels like they're,
moving.
like, using dial-up or something for their server, I don't really know. There's something just so weird about it, like, they have, like, Windows XP running their servers or something.
The database is on a Commodore 64, 2 of them wired together.
That's what it
Something.
feels like.
Yeah.
Again, why is it thinking all the time? Just show me the fucking thing. Sorry, Sean.
While it's doing that, I've had discussions in the chat about people who don't even realize that the studio doesn't get the entire gross. They're like, cost 350 million, it grossed 300 million this week. They've already broken even. And I'm like, you think the theaters show those movies for free? Like, so I mean, you can't underestimate the idiocy of people out there. I
For
couldn't
s
even convince them that, yeah, the studio only gets about 50 to 55% of the gross. And they're like, no, it made 300 million. See, it says right there, it made 300 million. I'm like, do you not know what gross and net are? And apparently they don't. And there's no talking to these people. So,
So I said 175 to 225 million. That was the model. I couldn't see it going outside that realm. It made on the
right.
low end. It made 183 million
Yeah.
worldwide. So it didn't age like milk, but I don't know. I don't know why that even annoys me. It's like, how can you say it aged like milk? Like, just watch the fucking video and wait a few weeks and see if I was right or not. And I was right.
Yeah. You can't get annoyed by idiots, though, because it's like playing chess
Like,
with a
why even
pigeon.
write that comment? You have to be an idiot. You're right. It is
Yeah.
an idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, it's like the people I was just talking about. If I can't convince them that the theaters take some of the money for the movies to keep for themselves, then you've got no common ground. It's no sense even having a back and forth with these
He
people.
obviously meant that analysis aged like milk. I think that I put the video up and, like, he came back after a week saying, like, "Aged like milk." It's like, "No, it didn't age like milk. It aged like the finest wine, in the history of, like, Chardonnay. It was, like, the finest Chardonnay that ever was manufactured," was my analysis of the situation. So screw that guy.
Yeah, the other thing is I call it like I call it Schrodinger's Oscar. Like everybody knows the Oscars are bullshit now and they don't mean anything. But still, if you win one, you can demand double the salary for a movie. It's like Schrodinger's reviews. When it suits them, oh, Rotten Tomatoes, we got a 98%. But if it gets a bad one, that those same people say, well, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really matter anymore. It's not really relevant. So Trachtenberg keeps getting work because he, you know, people are watching, the Prey, the critical reviews of Prey were insane. Like, didn't that movie get like a 98% or something on Rotten Tomatoes? The movie
Yeah,
was
they
terrible.
loved it because there was, like, a Native American girl or
American,
whatever it is. I mean, honestly, if you compare Prey to Predator: Badlands, Prey is already, like, half watchable. The only problem with Prey is, and this I feared this, they learned all the wrong lessons from it. It's how I was telling you about greedy Hollywood?
yeah,
They
doubling
made a
down.
movie that actually, until maybe the final portion of the movie with this little girl, like, beating the predator, which was really dumb and a few other things, I thought that the movie wasn't the worst. It was watchable. I didn't completely hate it, but I thought to myself, I really hope that they don't learn the wrong lessons from this. And then they did that greedy thing. They said, we made it about a Native American girl and she beat the predator. Well, now we got to take it to the next level. Now there has to be a girl boss that barks at the predator and he talks about his feelings and he's an idiot. How they got from there to there, I don't know. But they just, it's
You can
greedy. It's absolute. It's like you can be woke and greedy, and that is exactly what it was. It's like this woke greediness.
you can always depend on Hollywood to take away the wrong lesson from whatever thing they do or learn. They will take away the wrong thing, whether it's from the Marvels or Quantum Mania or Prey. Yeah, I think maybe you like Prey a little better than me. I thought her character was just absolutely wrong. Like there was a lot of potential there, but she was inconsistent with what a person in that time and place would actually be thinking. And she wasn't likable, and she was completely selfish, and I just didn't like her at all. Like, you were the healer of the village. They need you. You can't go out doing something that might kill you until, and just like, why do you want to go hunting? Because they tell me I can't. Like, what kind of fucking stupid ass answer is that? It should have been, well, I'm the only one left and I need to protect the village. That would have meant something. Like, all the men warriors are dead. But no, I just want to do it because everyone's telling me I'm not a girl
Right,
boss,
I
so I'm
wanna
gonna
show
go
that I'm
be
a
a girl
badass
boss.
woman. In during those years, during history, during that time, she would have been like,
They would have
folding
bitch
she
slapped her back into her teepee, man.
would have been folding burritos in that teepee, and nobody would have let her out even for 1 second. Uh, I'm not saying that that's what needs to happen today in 2025. I'm just saying that during that time period, that's probably what would have happened. Uh, Badlands raised prey up on the Predator movie scale. Requiem is still hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but there were some tweaks you could have made. Predator had the bones to be a solid movie, but they kept sort of going off script. They kept going off of the natural narrative to do these political agenda things.
yeah, I see what you mean. Uh, Mid Thunder is hot though. She's cute. I don't know if to say hot. I think that she's cute.
I mean, especially considering some of the people we get now. Yeah,
Thank you.
she's
Yeah, considering some of the mid people that were you are not a jerk man, you are intellectual peace. I don't know what that means. Price
I
maybe.
think he's saying Bryce. Yeah.
Yes. Too many woke weirdos on
Uh,
YouTube. That is true. That is
you're an
absolutely true.
intellectual piece of ass, dude. That's you. Like,
Had to switch my interweb provider and Rumble doesn't work on it. Moving and internet is better there. Well, it's nice to see you here on this platform then. I don't know why. I understand. I think I understand what happened.
yeah, Amber Mid Thunder is mid. It's in her name.
Right, she's meant on it. Listen, like I said, she has a certain cute thing going for her. I don't think that she's like horrendous, but at the same time, I mean, she's not like, drop dead gorgeous. She's just kind of cute. Which
Yeah,
I guess in our day and age is better than nothing, I guess.
and I did like Special Needs Predator, or Downs Predator as we call him, but there were some elements in there that could have been really cool, like the European hunters. Maybe they could have tried to work together with the tribes people, and she could have been a part of that, and then it sort of left to the point where she was the only one left, and even though she was afraid, she got to overcome her fear and fight the predator, not because she wanted to be a contrary, stubborn person, but because she was the only one there, man. There's a good movie in there somewhere, and it did look kind of gorgeous, considering so many movies look just awful these days. Um, but um, but what we got, wasn't even close to good. And of course, critics see Girl Boss, and it's like 99 stars, best movie all year kind of thing. And then Trachtenberg, he can fail upwards at least 3 times before people start noticing. But he's got two now. He's got that animated thing that was awful. He's got Badlands, which has lost money. So maybe he gets one more shot. And if he doesn't nail it, they'll put him in director jail.
I mean, until now, he seemed successful because he just put his stuff on streaming, so he didn't care. Now it
Yeah.
was a real test, and it showed that he's a flop. Caleb Levine, 7314. She's not hot, but not ugly. Better than Bella Ramsey or Daisy Ridley. Better than Bella Ramsey, I will say yes. Daisy Ridley, I don't think she looks horrendous either. It's just the biggest trouble for me, and I said this, I think even, I don't know if I said it in my review or not, but I'll say it to you. I feel bad for Daisy Ridley because she hasn't done anything bad to me personally. I don't dislike her, but anytime I see her on screen, and she's not the type of actress that has such a range that she
Yeah.
suddenly like gets into a role and you can barely even remember that it's Daisy Ridley. If you see that zombie movie, she looks 100% like Ray. You know what I mean? She looks and acts and everything about her is exactly like her performance as Ray. So I'm watching basically like Ray in a sort of zombie setting, in a very poor zombie setting, but I'm watching something like that, but she still looks like Ray and reminds me of the sequel trilogy. So, unfortunately, with the way she looks now, that's still close enough to what she looked in those movies, and still like collective minds associating Ridley with that failure, it's hard to watch her in anything else and really like forget about that. You just have this automatic association with her in something very negative, and at the same time, I feel bad because she hasn't done anything bad. I don't hate her, but it is what it is. I mean, I can't pretend that I didn't think of Ray Skywalker while watching that shitty zombie movie, and the movie was shitty too, so it didn't help.
Yeah, I do have to say, I don't think it's fair to have Bella Ramsey and Daisy Ridley in the same sentence. We are talking, there's a
Yes.
mile in between them, but you
No,
could
I mean,
do.
Daisy Ridley is not a terrible looking young lady. It's not she's not
No,
horrendous. I don't
it,
think she is. And what's funny is, you know what's funny about Daisy Ridley? Usually if you see her like on a talk show or on the red carpet or stuff like that, she'll look a whole lot better than she does in the movies they put her.
oh yeah, because they're ugling her up. But you know what? She's never, to my knowledge, has ever attacked the fans. She seems like an actual sweet person. So I've got nothing against her. I don't think she's the greatest actress, especially for a Brit who usually, they tend to be better actors than some of the people that come out of the United States. But she seems like a decent person, and she's never done the number one sin I think any business can do is attack its customers, and she's never done that. So I don't have a beef with her.
So in this let me see if I can find this. Again, I'm not saying that there aren't more pretty actresses or whatever it is, but I'm saying that like, here, let me share this with you. Are you ready?
Yep.
So you see her here. Oh, not her, the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the interviewer.
I mean, I don't think that she's disgusting. Like she seems sweet. I don't hate her. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
she came dressed a whole lot nicer than in the movie. Let's see if I can
She
here
often
see.
looks like the sun is shining directly in her eyes. I will say that, but
Maybe, but
yeah.
uh, like I thought she dressed nicely for this thing.
Yeah.
it wasn't disgusting, you know what I mean? Like, and then when you see the movie itself, she looks nothing like this. Like every movie she's in, they're like, why don't make her look like? Can we make her look very dumpy? I mean, as is. I'm not saying that she's like the top whatever it is, but I'm just saying she's fine. She doesn't look bad, and in her movies, they should be making her look better than reality instead of trying to always like make women look bad, which is really annoying.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Well, we know why,
We know
male
why.
gaze and all that, but man, figure I mean, look, they put Sydney Sweeney on the jeans ad, the sales go up, the company's stock goes up 18%. They know what sells, and yet they are still hesitant and oftentimes absolutely
Oh,
refusing to give
Sweeney
it
is
to us.
absolutely hotter. Sweeney is absolutely hotter. I didn't say that Sweeney like she was hotter than Sweetie. All I was trying to say is that, first of all, I think that I like Daisy Ridley better than Bella Ramsey, but that's my personal taste. In addition to that, I think that Daisy Ridley can be like an actually very, pleasant looking young lady. It's just they kind of always make her look bad in the movies. And yeah, she's not the best actress and she doesn't bring the most character, and if the screenplay isn't the best and the movie and production aren't the best, like that zombie movie, well, then she's probably not going to be great in it. But I don't hate her. I don't hate Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I've never heard
Sorry,
her
I don't hate.
blame.
I mean Daisy Ridley. I
Yeah,
certainly don't hate Sydney Sweeney. Also, yeah.
yeah, I've never heard her blame the patriarchy for her, any failures. I've never heard her go, Star Wars is very patriarchal. Like, I've never heard her say any of that shit. She just
El
seems like a
Elizabeth Quinn
nice
says her
girl.
forehead is too long and she's too toothy, better haircut. Uh, maybe she is those things. I still don't mind her. I still think, like I said, I don't think she's horrendous, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's women that, look
Yeah,
nicer, all that stuff.
I gotta confess, I don't mind a little bit of toothiness. I like the 2 little rabbit's feet, the rabbit's teeth up front. I think it's kinda cute. Like, what's her name? Felicity Jones? Yeah, yeah, she's gorgeous, man.
I don't know, Felicity Jones, ever since that, I've never been a fan of hers. I don't think she's the worst actress, but somehow I'm not a fan. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just saying she's cute. Like, the toothiness to a degree,
I think of her
doesn't bother me.
sourpuss character in Rogue One, and it
Oh,
depresses me.
yeah, yeah, she was miserable. That whole that
The whole
wasn't how
movie
the
is
movie
miserable.
was originally supposed to go, though. It was supposed to be about, Donnie Yen and the big guy. They were supposed to be the main characters, and they were gonna go and kick ass at this D-Day style beach landing, and it would have been awesome, but Kathleen Kennedy jumps in there and says, "No, you have to make the main character a woman, and she has to be better than everybody else." Ugh.
Yep, and let's see how well that worked for Kathleen Kennedy, who destroyed the brand with her stupid crap. But,
Yeah, and she's announcing 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 new Star Wars trilogies, 9 more movies under
she can
Kathleen
just
Kennedy's
fuck off.
direction.
She can just
Yeah,
fuck off,
I
yeah.
know.
I don't bu and really at this point, it doesn't the truth is, nothing even matters anymore. It's like, they've ruined the brand to such a place, and I said this to just a few people this week, but maybe it was even today, I can't even remember, uh, that I don't even enjoy watching the original trilogy anymore. I'm not saying maybe one day I'll still go back and I'll still have a point where I can sort of disconnect in my mind anything that came later and just kind of enjoy the original trilogy. But these days, it's hard for me to separate all the crap that I saw after. When you have so much crap that's there to like give you a middle finger, you can't unsee it. There's a point where it damage is caused, and I don't know if you can fix it. Same with Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Same I'd say to a lesser extent Star Trek. The reason why is because Star Trek for me, you could still give the keys to Star Trek to somebody who actually knows what they're doing. They can make a new show about a crew happening in the future, ignore as if like Discovery and all that stuff never happened, and just focus on like those kind of canonically on like the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Voyager, whatever it is, not even pretend that other stuff doesn't exist, and I think they'll do fine. You know what I mean? I think that in their case they can get away with it somehow. Uh,
yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Like, my enthusiasm for anything Star Wars has been destroyed, and the same with Doctor Who. I can't even go back and enjoy the classic things. But Star Trek, I can still watch the good stuff because I think it had a stronger brand identity before they tried to ruin it. And Lord of the Rings hasn't been touched by that god awful crap that Amazon put out. But for the most part, for these other franchises, they really have sort of crushed my enthusiasm. They've killed it, and
I'll
they
tell
can.
you why. I'll tell you why. Because for the most part, with the exception of Picard season 1 and 2, most of what they did in the Kurtzman era of Trek is just some garbage nobody gives a shit about. Sorry, Sean. So it's like, oh, here's another thing. Here's another thing. But I would watch one episode. I saw like one episode of Star Trek Discovery. I think after the first episode, I said, this isn't Star Trek. Stop watching it. Uh, Strange New World, whatever the fuck that is. Sorry, Sean. Watch maybe an episode or two of it. So that's not Star Trek. I don't know. Not only is it not Star Trek, that's not Christopher Pike, that's not Spock, and that's not Uhura. And
Yeah,
that was it for me.
it's so far removed from it that it bears no similarities to the real stuff that I don't even think it can kind of damage it. I
No,
feel
it's
bad
not.
for the missed opportunities we've had because,
And
but yeah,
Lower Decks, I watch an episode. I know some people are like, "Oh, I like Lower Decks." It's fine. You like it, it's fine. I watched it. I said, "This is crap. I don't want to watch it." Done with that. What else? The one that really did damage that I was hoping would be good is that I started watching Picard, thought it was awful, and I'm like, "Stop," and I told myself, "Stop watching this. This is not gonna do you any good. Stop watching this." But then over time, because there was stuff going on, I at least caught up with a little bit of the stuff just from my knowledge when they made maybe I don't think I watched even the whole season 1 or 2 or whatever, but when they made Picard a robot and a few other stupid things, I at least watched a little bit just to know what it's about, just for my own reference, you know what I mean? Because I didn't like not knowing, but, I sort of walked into it knowing that this is just shit that I don't take seriously. Uh, Picard season 3 has issues, but Terry Matalas, under the circumstances, I will say that out of all the Kurtzman Trek, he at least made, some kind of effort as best he could to do some kind of course correction. And it's not the worst thing I've seen. It's not great. It's not as good as the next generation, but I didn't I didn't completely hate it either. I thought it was okay.
Well, because you could tell he didn't hate Star Trek like the other people that make it.
Right, at least he
Yeah,
had not only did he not hate it, I feel like he was looking for a way to try to make right with the fans, do something right with the fans, and I think that he explained it. I remember at the time, the fact that he even got on streams that had the likes of, like, Gary and, like, Drinker on it and talk to them, that's not something that anybody that every person would do. He got on a stream, he talked and he explained, I think he used his words very carefully, but at the time he kind of explained that he wasn't allowed to just come in here and pretend those first 2 seasons of Picard didn't exist, but he did everything he could to minimize the damage that they did, like, to steer away from them.
yeah.
Picard being a robot, he tried his best to sort of downplay that and minimize some shit, like, that doing that. There was some other thing with Riker. He tried his best. He really, really tried his best. And for the most part, under those circumstances that they told him you can't make it seem like the first 2 seasons didn't happen, but still they let him do what he wanted, he did the best he could. There were moments that I enjoyed in that season. There were also moments that I thought were filler or dumb or not that great, but overall, I didn't hate Picard season 3. With that being said, everything else, Star Trek, garbage. I don't even pay attention to it. And if you made a good show now, if you just took it away from Kurtzman and you made Star Trek, I don't know what you call it. Maybe they were trying to make that Star Trek Legacy show to give it to Terry Matalas. If, like, they said, okay, Matalas, you could do Star Trek Legacy, it probably would have been fine. I
Yeah,
think you could probably do something decent.
yeah, Star Trek is not dead to me like, Star
No,
Wars
not
and
at all.
Doctor
I don't
Who.
know why, because if I look the original series, I look at Enterprise, I look at, I look at all the good shows, I don't really tie them to Kurtzman, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, and, I don't know, I feel bad for there are still people that, love the original Star Wars, and they're trying to make new content, and they have enthusiasm, and they're even creating people are doing videos and writing stories, and I'm like, I'm happy for them, but man, like, I just can't care. I just don't give a shit about anything Star Wars anymore. I don't have the heart to tell them, man. I just, but I'm
I'll
sure
tell
there
you
are
why.
people
I'll
that,
tell you why the damage for Star Wars is bigger, because in in Star Wars, it's not like shows that you have like 7 seasons of, okay? You have a few movies that are classics. If you took those characters, if you made Han Solo like sort of a loser again, you start off Force Awakens, he's a loser and he dies like a loser. You have Luke Skywalker, who's a loser and also dies like a loser. Once you see that, that is not the same thing as what we've seen with, like, even Kurtzman Trek. He can get away with it. You just say, I don't know what that is. Fuck that. But with Star Wars, we saw it, and it was a much bigger cinematic event. And there aren't like 7 seasons of a ton of episodes that you could fall back on here. Like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't have do-overs there. There's no way to fix this. It's either they made a really decent, a really good, really solid sequel trilogy, or they really fucked up, and they fucked up, unfortunately. Sorry, Sean. All they needed to do, even if they would have made a sequel trilogy which was underwhelming but okay, with, like, hitting some beats that people like, and even with the member berries, maybe you could have gotten away with it. But to give, like, the middle finger to all the fans, is something like, the worst business strategy I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know any other business where they routinely attack their customers that think it's a good strategy. You know what else has been kind of killed for me, and I hate it, but I tried going back and watching the original, but it just
Uh,
and that's Indiana Jones, man. I
Indiana Jones, listen, I only saw that Dial of Destiny once. I kind of blocked it out of my mind. I suppose that if on the TV the original Indiana Jones came on, I can forget I saw Dial of Destiny. Maybe it's still annoying. It's still annoying that I watched it, but
yeah.
maybe I can somehow like overcome that barely.
Yeah, and they haven't killed my enthusiasm for old classic James Bond, but they're going to try. They are going
No,
to try
because
really
it's like a
hard.
different actor. Like, they didn't bring back Connery to make him look stupid, like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
still watching
Yeah.
Sean Connery in his prime doing his Sean Connery thing. Uh, Karate Werewolf says, "Did you watch Film Threat's funeral for Star Trek: Price of Reason live?" I'm gonna tell you this. First of all, I think Film Threat, they do a really good job. I like Gore and Allen. I think they're cool, and I am not criticizing, like, them or their channel or anything like that. However, when it comes to their like funerals for this and funeral for that, I don't really know. It's not really for me. I tried watching some of that. I don't really give a shit. If they do it and people enjoy it and they get the views and they get the support, kudos to them. And again, they're a big channel. They do a great job. They're very professional and they seem like genuinely nice guys. I've had minimal interaction with a few of them on, on X over the years, but I don't have a bad impression of them, and I don't think negatively of them. And with that being said, their funerals for Star Wars and Star Trek, don't really know what to tell you. It's fine. I mean, it's okay. You want to do it's a nice gimmick, it's a nice gimmick. They do it and people show up and say this and that and whatever. It's just I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe I'm being an asshole. Sorry, Sean. Sorry, Ista.
No, I want my love to come back for these things I've loved that I felt like Hollywood has destroyed, and maybe it will. I never know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. It would be nice. I have to think because of my principles and beliefs that nothing is beyond redemption. So, you always have to allow everyone and everything a chance for redemption. So we'll just have to see where it goes. The future, at least for 2026, ain't looking all too bright. I'll tell you that, but you never know.
No, I don't, it'll be interesting if suddenly something turns a corner and they suddenly make good movies again, but we're
Yeah,
not
I
it doesn't look like that now.
I would I would be so happy. I would be unrestrained. I would go shouting to the rooftops, and that would be so wonderful. The biggest thing that annoys me is people think we love to hate stuff. No, we don't, but we have to cope when they start destroying things that we loved. And the way we
Absolutely.
cope is coming together and talking about it and pointing out all the reasons why it sucks.
So Tomahawk 511 says Crystal Skulls is the last indie movie to me. I'll tell you this. I could do without Crystal Skulls. I really think that the trilogy with Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, for me that's the trilogy. You don't really need anything else. Now,
Yeah.
if you forced me to accept Crystal Skulls, I will say this, at least if nothing else in the movie, Harrison Ford is a bit younger and he feels like he came to be Indiana Jones. And the movie realizes that he's Indiana Jones and it doesn't want to take a dump on him. So it's the minimum. And if you zoom out beyond the weird CGI monkeys in the forest and
Yeah.
so the aliens and some weird and the refrigerator with the nuking, there's a lot of weird shit in that movie. But I will say this at the end, there's a feeling there of being reunited with your wife and the son that you didn't know about, and the movie ends with him like in a church getting married and reuniting with his family. And if nothing else, knowing who Marion is from the first movie and seeing that kind of you know uh, that whole thing play out, if nothing else, it gives kind of a nice send off to the character. And I think that most people didn't mind him marrying Marion or having a son. I don't think that that's stuff that anybody hated. It's just that, and if I had to, I would just leave it as is and say, yeah, It wasn't a good movie. It didn't really need to be made, but it was okay. It was somehow whatever. Not very good. But
Yeah,
this new one, Dial of Destiny, is a disaster. It costs like $500 million to make. There's scenes that connect that don't even connect to each other.
yeah.
Meaning, I watched it in the theater and I'm like, "Wait, how did they get here now? Wait, what are they doing? Wait, where are they?" And, like, nobody comes to explain it. It's just like, when by the time they put this movie together, James Mangold, who, by the way, blocked me and had all this, like, dick swinging stuff to say and do online, at the end, everything everybody said about him was 100% true. It was all a big sham, and it was terrible, just like everybody said, and he was having meltdowns for no reason whatsoever. The movie, he must have known when he put this together that it was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I'm certain he did, and he probably had a lot of stress about that, and the studio made him lie and be dishonest publicly about it. But as far as Crystal Skull, I just want to know who thought it was a good idea to cast Shia LaBeouf as Indiana Jones's son, and what kind of crack they were smoking. Like, I don't understand why you would cast him for anything, but to cast him for Indiana Jones's son, who thought that was a good idea? My God, man.
I'll tell you what, Steven Spielberg, as I'm going to say this, how do I get out of this? I think that as Steven Spielberg got older and got like more advanced in his career, he made some decisions which didn't make a whole lot of sense. Shia LaBeouf was his guy. You know what I mean? There were a few years that Hollywood was really trying to make him a thing. Steven Spielberg, even though it was Michael Bay directing, but it was Steven Spielberg's production, he played Sam in that Transformers movie. I guess Spielberg saw him as a guy that like he can count on him. Then you had what's his face? You had him in that movie in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Like there was a minute there in Hollywood that they really tried to build up Shia LaBeouf as this big deal, and I really think that Steven Spielberg fell for that whole routine, although I'm not
Uh,
sure why. But
yeah, yeah.
it's not his casting that ruins or makes Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. He's not my favorite actor. I don't know if he's anybody's favorite actor, but I think that if you just give him a screenplay and put him in a movie, he can be mildly okay, I guess.
I think in Transformers he was okay because they wanted somebody who was a dork, and he was definitely a dork, and it sort of worked for that movie, which I actually quite enjoyed the first Transformer movie. There was some very cool special effects at the time. We'd never quite seen
Right,
anything
it
like
was the
that.
best one, the first one. Out of all the Transformers movie, that was the best one.
Yeah.
Out of
Now,
all the live action, of course. I mean, out of all the live action, the first Transformers live action movie was the best one.
yeah, I didn't think Shia LaBeouf was good in Constantine either, but he didn't ruin the movie for me. His part just wasn't that big. But I typically I think we get a sense when Hollywood's trying to push someone on us that we don't like, and we sort of reject it out of hand. They do it all the time. They tried to do it with the Avatar guy. They try to do it with Jonathan Majors. They try to do it all the time, and you can tell when they're trying to put, they're trying to, instead of taking somebody that the fans have already responded to as popular, they're trying to do it in reverse. They like to think they have that power, and they don't, because it never works.
Keely Chow says, "Hey everybody, good afternoon," and from Hong Kong. Oh,
Oh,
nice. I didn't know you were in Hong Kong.
yeah, that I love Hong Kong, man. It's one
M-
of my
Very
favorite cities on the planet. Go
Christmas
get
to those in the U.S.
Yeah, go get some good street food for me, Keely. Go on the go out in the Tim Shots Way and do a little bit of shopping.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never been to Hong Kong.
Oh man, but they've lost all the neon. They replaced it with LEDs, and I think it really kills the atmosphere, man. I miss all that neon stuff. You can even see it from space. It just looks so cold and sterile now.
Is it still, like, fun to go to China? I mean, I've never been there, so I know some people when initially, like, they went there, like, 20, 30 years ago, I think some people had a certain experience. It's probably not the same now.
No, no, it is not, hell, I lived there. I was there for a couple of years. No, it was like 85% rural when I was there. It's like a
When did you live there,
completely
if I may ask? Like, what
um
years?
um roughly middle 80s.
Wow. They even allowed you to, like, be like weren't you the only, like, non-Asian person there?
There weren't very many of us. I got to tell you, I might as well have been a goddamn space alien half the places I went.
So did how did they, how did they treat you?
I love the people there. Even it's funny that the government, even like soldiers and uh, every I was always treated well, unless I was maybe doing something I should have been doing. But in general, the people there are not like I've never met a culture with so little that were willing to give so much.
Were there hot women there that liked people like you?
Um, uh, I mean, they're in the cities. Yeah, I mean, there's some beautiful Chinese women, but I spent a lot of time out in the villages, and so I would say that I wasn't really focusing on that. I was. Did they shoot you in the butt like Richard Gere?
I'm
No,
so
but
confused. I'm so confused about this whole situation.
I was taking I was doing some was taking a lot of photographs, and occasionally I was photographing something I shouldn't, and I got in a little bit of trouble. Um, but in general, man, the people there were awesome, and it's I mean the country's
This is
huge,
the most
man.
interesting thing you ever said. Okay, okay. So you were in China, you took pictures of places you shouldn't have, which got you in trouble,
Yeah, didn't
and
I?
there were hot women there, but you didn't have time to engage.
Yeah, didn't I? I've sent you some of my photographs, haven't I? Yeah, I know I have.
Maybe you have a
Yeah,
long
yeah,
time ago, but
yeah.
I'm again trying to understand. So you were there
Um,
for a few years. You lived there?
yep, yep. I was a student there, and I was a teacher there.
Okay. So you were a student and a teacher there, and there's all these hot Asian women, but you're too busy.
No, no, no. Well, I mean, there are hot women everywhere. What I'm saying is when you
No, but you would think that these hot women would be like, "Oh, like this guy," because you stick out like a sore thumb, especially in the '80s. You're like the only white person in like, in China. I would think that like the hottest ladies are probably lining up, to hang out with a white guy. I could be wrong. Maybe it doesn't work that way at
no,
all. I'm just like,
like
this is now in my twisted mind how I'm playing this
no,
whole thing
no,
out.
dude. I may now a couple of places they did try to I don't know maybe sell me their daughters or something like that. But for all practical purposes, I was a Martian. And typically, you don't see the women all, going over the Martians.
I don't know. I don't know. I think
Okay.
you think they would like the Martian. Like you're different.
Well, I did
There's
meet
like a billion of them and one of you.
well, it's funny, you'll go into a village, there'll be several thousand people, and maybe there's this one Swedish girl who's also traveling there, and they will make sure that you meet her. Like so I met some other interesting people that were not Chinese, but my goal was to
So
like learn about the country.
just lived there and wanted to take some pictures.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I went to all 28 provinces, mostly on foot, hitchhiking, boat. Kind of, it was my exploratory period in my life, and you know, so yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
is saying Dan Demand 2323 says this is the most unspecific story ever. LOL.
Well, I have specific stories inside of the non-specific, but I have so many, I would need to know where to start. Like,
Elizabeth Quince has a theory here.
she does she?
And Lasher 5520 says Price is going to grab his passport and head out. Sounds like a
So
plan.
No, I have some tremendous stories like, like hiking on the Great Wall, taking a 72-hour train ride where I was begging for death. I made this sort of trip where like just a family took me in, even though they were really worried because the police like we've never seen a white guy. We don't even know if we're supposed to talk to you or not, but you look cold and hungry. So you can stay in our barn. And I slept with some pigs that kept me warm. And then in the morning, I get up and they have breakfast for me. But the kid, the
So
pig,
wait, there's all these ladies and you ended up sleeping with the pigs?
well, two of them. But the pig picks up an
But
apple and
it's
he
not a
walks.
metaphor, it's not like women that you think are pigs. You slept literally with
No,
pigs,
this
correct?
was a giant bovine, and he picks up an apple in his mouth and walks it all the way across the yard and drops it at my foot, like for you. like,
Ugh, this is so weird. You have the strangest China story that anybody's ever had.
listen, you've been in India. We both did the India thing. It's just like that, but in China. I don't know why
I
it's so
see.
weird.
I don't know because India kind of feels more of a traveling place. China, I don't know. I feel, and I
Uh,
also don't.
yeah, yeah. I was arrested several times. There are places you can't go. It's definitely
I'm
not as
surprised that you got out of it. Like they're not very forgiving, but
well. They didn't want to. I don't think the state. I don't think they wanted to deal with dead Americans in the '80s. Just when they were
I see.
trying to get. But they had already opened up the special economic zones in Shenzhen, so they had these places of isolated capitalism.
It's okay to
Um,
admit that Asian women are hot. I never said that they weren't. It's the Phobos
no, no,
is
but
all dancing around it, and he wants to,
the
you know, sleep with pigs or whatever he was saying. Very strange stuff.
the
But
Chinese women now that I see online, holy moly, like I didn't there were none of those there when I was there, I got to tell you. Hong Kong
exactly what
is
I
a
was
different
thinking
place.
twice.
Hong Kong was still British when I was there. It was not part of China. It was a
Ah.
territory of the British
Right.
Empire.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Now it makes a little more sense to me. I did okay, about India, I wanted to tell you something, and this is a funny story because it reminds me what I was saying with the ladies in the Hong Kong. Uh, when I was in India, there was one time that I needed to go somewhere, and I took like a local quote unquote cab, which would have been like, and it's in a very rural area that he needed to bring me from like one place to another place, and first of all, we get to this place where, like, there's water. You sometimes there's water there, and in order to for him to continue driving, he needs to drive over this thing where there's, like, seemingly a flood with water and rocks and stuff like that. No sane person in their right mind would have driven with this little car that looks like it was bought at Fisher Price that we were
Yeah.
in, would never drive over that river, like, in that water. This guy couldn't care less, and he just drove over it, and somehow he made it, and I don't understand until this day how. It was so you think about the most dangerous things you've been in, this guy with his Fisher Price car, like, driving in that river, I don't know how he did it. In any case, once we're done with it, suddenly the car stops, moving, and I thought to myself, "Well, you were driving in the river with all the water, so probably, something bad happened to your car." But you know what it ended up being? He just didn't have gas. And I'm like, "Dude, you just picked me up not too long ago. You go pick up a ride that's supposed to be a long ride, and you're just driving without gas. What did you think is gonna happen?" And he's like, "Ho, ho, 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 ho." Like, they never care about anything, like, it doesn't give a shit. In any case, the reason I'm telling you all of this is that we needed the gas, and I guess he stopped some people that he saw along the way, and he asked them to take some of their gas or something like that. And part of the deal that was made, no joke, that in order to sort of like encourage them to help, is that they got to take pictures with me.
Yeah.
Now, you have to understand, I'm some guy, I'm not known, and nobody knows who I am. It's not like but, because I was the white guy in that rural area, I'm the celebrity, you know what I mean? They wanna
Oh,
take
I
pictures with
know
me.
exactly
They're
what you
they're
mean.
like, "We'll give you some gas, we need to take pictures with a white guy," and I stood there and, like, a bunch of people took pictures with me, which was so odd, you know what I mean? And I'm, like,
Um,
thinking to myself, "Just get this over with, we need the gas and I need to go." And they're like, I'm taking pictures of all these weirdos in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I've been in villages where I was passed around like a chick at a biker bar, man. It's just they want to feel the hair on your arms. They want to take a picture. They'll pull at my beard. They don't think it's real because mostly Chinese men under 60 don't have beards, sort of thing. Um, so there one quick story, there's no real department. There's safety was not really, especially in the 80s, safety wasn't a priority in China. And I was going kind of, I think, from Sichuan province to Qinghai and had to cross this giant gorge. And I managed to hitchhike on this truck and it was running along. There were about halfway up a gorge. There's this gravel road, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet wide, this giant truck. And the guy said, "Oh, give me a ride." So we're going along this gorge. I look down and the sort of greenish blue toxic waste looking water down there. It's a couple 100 feet below. And I look up and you're still a couple 100 feet from the top. And we're driving, and all of a sudden I hear boom. And all these gravel comes and the rocks are hitting the roof and the car is shaking. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? He's like, oh, well, they're blasting out further up the gorge. I'm like, that can't be safe. And so about every 10 minutes, there's this boom, and the rocks come showering on top of the truck. And I am literally trying not to piss myself. I look down in the gorge, and there's a few trucks just like the one I'm in, but they're laying on their side, all crushed up
Oh, no.
the gorge. And I'm like, I said, like, is this safe? And he points out the window down, and I look down, and there's like a truck at the bottom of the gorge. But you know how it is sort of driving, and many of the driving in Thailand is terrifying, and India can be terrifying.
Oh,
It's
for sure. I had in both cases, in Thailand and in India, I had cases that I'm like that let's say there's like a storm and there's some bus that looks like it was manufactured in like
yeah,
1943
yeah.
and it's like driving up this mountain in the biggest storm and there's like no room even for 2 lanes and I don't even know how it's all working. Frankly, it's like a miracle that you managed to get from point A to point B in that situation. And I've had a number of them. It's like I couldn't believe it, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the Chinese Domestic Airlines CAAC, which stands colloquially for China Airlines always crashes, but like the pilot, like he couldn't find the runway. So, I'm a pilot too. The cockpit was open and I'm looking and I'm hearing them talk and they're like, we're not. And this was in a relatively big city. This was outside of Shanghai. He's like, I can't find the runway. I'm like, what? And we start landing and I look down and it's all rice paddies and cattails and bamboo fields and everything. And I'm like, we're going to crash. Oh my God. And we hit the runway. It's the very end, but the guy's like, yeah, I don't see it either. Where it happened to the runway? I'm like, and then they don't have jetways there. They wheel out on the tarmac and then they wheel this big ladder and you got to climb down there and then you're waiting under the plane for them to maybe find your luggage. I mean, it really made you appreciate some of the things that we have here. Um,
For
so Phantom
sure.
Outsider, my brother lives in Taiwan. He's just under 6 feet, blue eyes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Mine are green, so they'll often listen. I had a beard. I have normal man hair on my arms, which they don't have. And I'm fairly tall. Like I said, half the time it seemed like I was a space alien to these people. But the funniest thing is, no matter where you could go to a place where there's like one light bulb in the whole village and a portable generator, no electricity, but they all knew who Michael Jackson and John Denver were. And I would travel with a guitar, and I learned a couple. I think I knew a few John Denver songs anyway, but I learned some Michael Jackson songs because wherever you go, people like Michael Jackson, John Denver. So I would um, I would always sing Country Roads. That was a huge like I'm standing up on a train for 20 hours. There's no seat, but play Country Roads, somebody will move over and let you sit down kind of thing. So
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jackson, and I remember recently Robot had tweeted this something about this, that people, all these kind of young Gen Z weirdos that write all this crap, they don't realize how big Michael Jackson was. I think it was a tweet that somebody said, "Who's bigger, like Beyonce or Michael Jackson?" or something like that. And I think that Robot had answered that person that, like, it's they can't even begin to comprehend how big
Oh,
Michael Jackson was before any kind of internet, before anything. He was a guy that you bring him to the most rural village in the most third world country ever, and you bring him in there, and everybody will immediately know who he is. And I don't think there were many people on the planet that were as popular as Michael Jackson. It was a phenomena that you think of stuff like Elvis, the Beatles. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson. There weren't like a million people that had that kind of fame.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's 10 times bigger even than Taylor Swift. There's nowhere you could go deep in the bush in Africa where there's no electricity,
Exactly.
no
Yeah.
phones, and they would know who Michael Jackson is. It's a weird phenomenon. And
Mm.
just to wrap it up, the it was maybe 3 or 4 hours. I finally we finally got out of the gorge. You see, you couldn't just left. I'd be stranded halfway up in the middle of this 1,000 foot gorge, like nowhere to go. So I was committed to that whole ride, and the explosions were happening that entire time. But at some point, like you just I was my nerves were so rattled, but after about an hour or two, yeah, I'm like trying to predict when the explosion, when's that, 3, 2, 1, boom, and, made it out, and then I was in a very isolated rural place, where, actually, it's the province where they dump a lot of their waste and all the landfill. When you think you're recycling, they're just burying the stuff in Shanghai province, and but I ended up making my way into town, but I don't think I was even willing to get into another vehicle for about 4 days. So I just walked everywhere. It really did a number on me.
Yeah. Uh, I can imagine.
So
Somebody
see
asked
there
how we got to Hong Kong. I don't know how
yeah,
we got here.
and there were no hot Chinese women along that
I
trust
don't
me,
know. I don't feel like you did the best work over there in China. I don't think
oh,
you represented us well.
I had my moments, but not at that time. But no,
Yeah,
no, no, listen, dude,
representation matters. That's what I can say, and I don't know how well you represented us
in
in
Beijing, I
China.
did absolutely fine. You would be proud. I did the
In which
United
place?
States
In which place?
and Beijing.
In Beijing. That worked out better.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely better.
Oh well. Slayer
Oh,
played in
super
Japan
chat.
to 2019 was their last show.
Ah,
Interesting. Didn't
you have
know.
a super chat from the real head case.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Rush hour. Now is a good time to ask. Let me see if I can bring this up. So we have this, and now I'm going to share it. Only the best technology. Okay. Rush hour. Now is a good time to ask. Are you talking about Rush Hour the movie?
I think he's talking about Rush Hour 4, right? That Trump willed into being on his own.
I mean, the thing is that it's very rare. Even Rush Hour 3, I thought wasn't strong. For me, Rush Hour 1 was good, and Rush Hour 2 was also good. Those two movies, in my opinion, did whatever they were supposed to do. I think that once they got to 3, they both weren't as enthusiastic. The script was more flimsy even than the previous ones, and it felt like going through the motions. It just didn't have that spark. Now, can they get back their spark after all these years? I don't know. We saw something like Bad Boys for Life or whatever it was called, like those later Bad Boys movies that they made. I mean, I'm not saying they're the best movies ever, but I didn't hate them, the ones that came out in more recent years. I kind of enjoyed them for whatever they were. They were decent popcorn movies, at least watchable. If they go that route with like Rush Hour, maybe there's something they can still do. But man, it really it relied a lot on Chris Tucker and his improv, and Jackie Chan and his like fighting and stunts. But Jackie Chan is old, or he can't do what he did back then. His body, can't do what it did back then. At the same time, Chris Tucker himself, he doesn't have that kind of like youthful arrogance that he had back when he was young. So he can't really recreate that either. I tend to think that at the end this movie is going to be disappointing, much like Beverly Hills Cop 4 or whatever it is. It's just you can't turn back the clock sometimes. That's what I feel about it, about Rush Hour. I do want to look at the begin. What I wanted to say. Okay, so Zack Snyder has been sharing pictures
Yeah,
of uh, of Henry Cavill.
he
Let
has
me
a
see if
real passive aggressive way of getting stories out there, doesn't he?
I mean, the thing is that to be honest with you, I appreciate his hustle, and I'll tell you why. I'm sure that he thinks that James Gunn is annoying and did annoying work. He probably like is annoyed that he doesn't get to do his DC movies and all that stuff. So I don't mind his passive aggressiveness or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he's just at this point posting pictures of Henry Cavill as Superman over and over again, wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. And all of his messages really give me the feeling that this here, it's like Henry Cavill, the original Superman suit, this photo, it was undeniable. Who says that unless you're trying to do a middle finger to somebody? With the last image I shared and this one we showed Warner Brothers, everyone agreed Henry Cavill was Superman. That's where the journey began. Merry Christmas. It really feels like he's not letting this thing go. And then he went to hang out with this guy. He's hanging out in Saudi Arabia with this guy that's potentially part of the thing that they're going to invest, you know what I mean? This is not random. I feel like Zack Snyder is doing everything he can to regain control of the DCEU, but the truth is, I still don't know because I've seen people. They're like, "That's it, Snyder is doing it." I don't want to say which channels. I don't want to throw people under a bus, but sometimes I see these videos and it's like it kind of annoys me when they're so firm on like promising in a way that like they're you watch the video, it's not just they have a thumbnail that you click and then you get the full picture, but you click on it and they still sell you that like in 5 minutes he's going to be there turning on the camera and like yelling action. He's not there yet. Even with this Saudi Arabian visit, even with his pictures of Superman, he's not there yet. The Paramount and Warner Brothers still up in the air until that thing has, and even then it could be litigation for years now. There could be a lot of things that happen here, and during that time, that could be time that you don't see any Zack Snyder or any project. So I don't know what to tell you. It's not. I really don't like saying things like "done deal" and like Snyder versus Stewart, and I don't know what. I'm not going to say all that stuff. It's like I don't want to be mean again. Every channel is trying to get views, and people have their hustle, and I appreciate their hustle. I'm not knocking it, but at the same time, I can't make a video just promising that.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy has anything to do with the big deal, but he knows they're getting investors from Saudi Arabia. He's in
No,
Saudi
he's
Arabia. Like,
tied. This guy is tied to the
oh,
Saudi Arabian family or something. This
oh,
guy, let
okay.
me see. I click on his thing. It
Turkey.
says
It says my friend Turkey.
his name is Turkey, but it's see like trust me, this is him like hanging out with
Oh,
do you
okay.
get what I'm trying to say? Like trust me when I tell you this. This guy is the real whatever it is. He's like, he's very much in the mix when it comes to like, the prince. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, we don't even know who's gonna end up getting Warner Brothers for, so
Right,
nothing's
but
a
that
done
that's
deal
why,
now.
because like, I have some people there's even one guy that I really like, and he's like, "Well, Snyder wouldn't post stuff like if he didn't know something." Yeah, he knows. He's known all along that there's gonna be a bidding war. He knows that, he's trying his best to navigate the situation. He knows that if maybe these guys end up taking over Warner Brothers because of his relationship with like the Saudis, which he's already working on a UFC movie with them, and they already like him and have like a personal friendship, which really matters. It really matters in situations like this, especially in a culture like that. His friendship with them matters. But I'm just saying that with all that being said, it's still not there.
Oh, 34 million followers. Holy crap. Okay, yeah, I guess he is,
No, this guy's the is no bullshit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
okay,
is
yeah.
not bullshit. I'm telling 100%. And do I think that Zack Snyder is basically doing all the politicking he can to try to like, set the groundwork for this? I think he's been doing that for months. I think he's itching to do it and he really wants to. But is it going to work? I don't know. Did
Yeah.
it manage to like light a fire under James Gunn's ass and make him panic and stressed? 100% yes. In spite of all the bullshit that people will try to sell us, all of this is causing a lot of stress for James Gunn, who is very much in the hot seat.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
what
glad.
he totally deserves it. And
Yeah.
whether it's what's his face, whether it's Paramount or Netflix that'll end up securing this deal, I think that one thing has really been exposed over the past half year over and over again, that James Gunn is not delivering. And if it continues on this path, I think that whoever takes control, whoever is going to end up being like the captain of the ship, he may find himself out of there sooner rather than later. Even if, let's say, there was no sale and it was Zaslav, I also wouldn't know how long he has there.
Yeah, anybody who says, "Oh, they were happy with Superman's performance," is lying. You don't invest $200 million in a movie, to make 50 bucks. You were 650 million. That is not a performance anybody's happy with. If it was some indie movie or rom-com, yeah, but a superhero movie, that was just enough not to be considered an outright failure. But that was your debut movie, your universe kicking off movie. Nobody was happy with that number. He can tweet all he wants and people can cope all they want, but nobody believes that shit.
I agree. Elizabeth Quinn says, when we got there 11 years ago, a good friend who worked with the defectors, North Koreans who made it to South Korea, tried to get me to work with them. No way, the horror stories. I don't really have contacts, but it sounded interesting. Uh,
Yeah,
Mark,
she was talking about. She was saying it's true about Michael Jackson. She was in rural Africa when he died, and you'd have thought that Michael Jackson was the spokesman, or you thought I was Michael Jackson's spokesman. Yeah, he a worldwide phenomenon. I just mentioned we know Elizabeth Quince is in South Korea, and I lived there for a short time as well. So I just mentioned
I see. Lucy Meow says, Snyder versus Dad, Snyder just trolls. I'll tell you this. A year ago, I would have told you 100% that you're right. I really think that with the fact that he's really good buddies with like people that are directly tied to the royal family of Saudi Arabia, and the royal family wanted to be an investor in this deal, don't underestimate if like the Paramount deal would go through and these guys would invest money, their high opinion of Zack Snyder, which 100% exists,
that.
could open
Yeah,
that door. It could really do it. I know that some people are like, it's crazy. They'll do this and that. Yes, I think that it's possible.
yeah, you're
And
talking about people with billions of dollars. You don't think if they like
trillions,
somebody, they
maybe even.
can't,
Yeah. Like,
get. No, yeah, I'm talking about the individual, like just the third, second cousin's next door neighbor of the royal family
right. Yeah, no,
has
exactly. I agree
billions.
exactly. I know what you're talking about, and you're 100% right. This thing is a big deal. He has the relationships. Also, if you think about it, the Paramount wouldn't really like James Gunn and whatever he's doing there. It's said that they already don't like it. If those Saudis really like Zack Snyder and they liked what he did in the past, and the fact that they hired him is because of based on his past stuff, this is really, really a good setup for him if the Paramount deal goes through. I would still even say that even Netflix, even though Rebel Moon didn't do so well, if Netflix, let's say, shows all around the world, it shows his movies on their streaming service, maybe sometimes even here, but outside of the US, there's a lot of places that don't have HBO Max. So if they like carry his movies, they know if they're popular or not. If they think that they're making good money on the, Man of Steel and things like that, then that could work out. Even Netflix could work out well for Snyder. And Gunn, in my opinion, is right now in the biggest, like, hot seat possible. And I think he knows it, which is why he seems stressed all the time. But at the end of the day, even with everything that I've said, I'm not going to promise. I'm not going to do a video promising everybody everything, because there are people that do that, but I steer shy of that. Like, steer away for that. Steer away from that. It's late. Uh, so that was my answer to this thing. Now, Mark Millar. Yeah, I know what you meant. He has a deal with Netflix. I guess. Yeah. Next time we'll tell the story about how I smuggled myself into Tibet in the back of a tea truck. I'm looking
Yeah, that one
forward
ended
to
a
that.
little bit more hairy.
I am looking forward to that story. And what else was there? We had a situation where there was like the ASUS to enter the DRAM market.
Oh, okay.
Wait, let's see that I didn't forget.
Yeah, RAM's gonna be pricey for a couple of years, that's without
It's
a
so
doubt.
annoying how high this thing is going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so basically, what's happening is that ASUS. Let me see if I can find this. ASUS.
Yeah, if you think you need RAM, you best buy it in the next week, 'cause, it's about to be very scarce and very pricey.
It's just really annoying. ASUS rumored to enter DRAM market next year to tackle memory shortages. I personally think it's a welcome thing if other companies somehow manufacture it's good, but don't they need the same parts? Like, how do they solve the problem that other people can't solve?
Yeah, I'm not sure they can. That's what I'm saying. It's sort of like all of the bare bone basic components. They're just like 2 places in the world where they're manufactured. So they still have to get their supplies and raw materials unless they have a separate supply chain that I'm not aware of. And that's certainly possible. But you can do magic with a good supply chain. That's how Toyota managed to really not only survive but flourish during the that era of sickness of unknown origin, kind of when everybody else was shutting factories down. They were full speed ahead because of how they run their supply chain.
Yeah, I
So
understand. Well, I am all for it, but I don't know how exactly they're going to make a difference. But it is concerning that RAM keeps on going up in price because I have my computer, the whatever I'm using now. But if within a year or two I want to upgrade, what's going to happen? It's gonna this thing is like really now very expensive, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, apparently they have some long-term contracts with OEMs, and they are able to do spot market purchases to cover, but none of this addresses, the stuff just doesn't come from thin air. Yeah, I don't know. The only thing they could guarantee is if they don't sell their stuff on the AI market and dedicate whatever they manufacture into the consumer arena. Um but it looks like they are going to be building manufacturing plants, but I mean those take a couple of years to build. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure if they are able to mitigate the demand somehow. That would be a great thing, but I don't know enough about the current situation to really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I hope that they fix it because this RAM shortage doesn't sound good to me.
Okay, it looks like it says one of the things is they will focus on their own internal production, which means you could buy Asus computers with RAM in them for cheap, but you can't buy the RAM by itself. So I don't see how that really helps most people.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh, but it does say they will control a portion of their own memory supply, funneling it into the consumer market to avoid massive cost fluctuations. All right. Well, that's when everybody else is dumping theirs on the on the big AI open market, they're holding theirs back for, regular consumers. So that's something, but
I mean, it sounds interesting, but what do
I
I
don't
know?
know. One of the things the lockdowns exposed was how fragile some of the supply chains are from components that everywhere in the world they desperately need. Like there were only two places. There are basically only two places in the world where they made hard drives, and one of them was hit by a monsoon. So, um, I definitely agree. And they're opening up a memory plant actually in my state, but they had a little hiccup with uh that was Samsung, and they had a little hiccup with immigration, and they accidentally deported all of the workers there that were building the factory.
I see.
So, um, but yeah, we need to make we America as a country, we need to start making stuff here so we can ensure a supply. That's definitely
That would be nice, yeah. Well, I think that at this point we've covered. If there's something you still wanted to go over, talk about Istophobos, now would be a good time if there's something you wanted to mention.
there was something, but I think I forgot about it, and there's no way I'm gonna pull it out of my ass at this time of night. But it was something you were talking about, I think, on Tuesday, but I can't remember. So I don't know. I just want everybody to. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and is looking forward to a happy New Year. And
Tomahawk says, "Does this mean laptop prices will go up?" I think they will. I think everything is going to go up
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation.
Basically, the AI industry is going to be sucking up all of the computer components as people go 100%, 110% into AI. Like, we don't even have enough electricity to run that. So they're building nuclear reactors to supply the power hungry AI industry. Um, when we needed it for actually cheap, clean power, no, can't build any nukes. But now that now that the big boys want it, oh, okay, yeah, you can have your reactors now. So,
Is Nvidia buying Grok? I don't think so. Not that I know. Didn't hear anything like that.
I think Grok is mostly made with Nvidia, so I'm not exactly sure
Yeah,
where.
I don't. I exactly. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. What I will say is usually the professor helps me compile a list of all the people that were in all the platforms, and today is not here, and I'm just gonna do my best to wing it. Uh, sorry, I'm gonna make some mistakes here, and I'm sure that I'm gonna miss people, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll do the best I can. Elizabeth Quinn, some late guy, some late guy, Long Island 90, who also gave us a nice Rumble rant, and trying to think on the Rumble side. I'm sure there was other people, but it's
Citizen 42,
Citizen
uh,
42,
Bingo Hazmet,
Bingo Hazmat,
Angelo DD,
Angelo DD. You can
some.
say I
Oh,
just
okay,
just say do the shout outs. Yeah.
yeah, okay, some late guy LI90. Hi, thanks for coming by. Citizen 42, we got him. Double R Star. We got Bingo Hazmat, right? There's me. Yeah, I know me's here. Yeah, I think that about covers. Oh, and Darren Mai. So, thank you guys on the Rumble side there.
We may have missed other people, but it's okay if you say that, or maybe not. If you
No,
say it,
no,
because
I haven't crashed once, and I have the whole live
oh,
chat here.
okay, okay, good. So then we also have on the YouTube side. There was a lot of people here. I'm gonna do my best. I don't know if we can find everybody. Let me try.
All right.
Zunar J5, Marla Sharondoff, The Real Head Case, Caleb Levine, Professor R2. Shout out to the professor who's traveling. Karate Werewolf, who also gave some super chats and memberships. Lasher 5520. Oh, here I see Bingo Hazmat, like you said. Lasher 5520, Tomahawk 55511. We have
Dabion Freedom and Zune RJ5.
Jason Webster. You're right. Caleb Levine. I said Lasher. Jason Webster. I said
Lord Skywalker 7825.
yes. And yes, there was Lord Skywalker. Mr.
Zario.
Zerillo.
Okay.
Mr. Zerillo.
Adjust the Hat.
Adjust the Hat. I don't know what that is. Dabion Freedom.
Yeah, the name is Adjust the Hat.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed that one. I'm trying my best here. The professor is so good at this.
Tony Grigo 6382.
Yes, Tony Grigo.
And One Dirty Bird 1294.
Oh, Adjust the Hat. I just saw it too. One Dirty Bird is usually on Rumble, but today he showed up here because I guess he moved and maybe he's in a place without a VPN. Can't use Rumble or I don't know what. Phantom Outsider, how's it going?
Scottish Celts 2040.
Okay, cool.
Did we do Lord Skywalker? Yeah, we did 7825 again.
I think we got a lot of people.
Yeah. Tomahawk, we got Faye Summer.
Awesome 142. Keely Chow.
Oh, yeah. Faye Summer says, I enjoy Price's reviews.
Faye Summer. Yeah. Danda Man.
Oh, Badfoot.
Badfoot. Yeah.
Malachi D. Wildman.
Massgrave 00. Malachi D. Wildman. Yeah, he's cool.
Fantasy Horse 4696.
Okay.
Fantasy Horse. Okay.
The Tasteful Thickness. I don't even know that. I want to know what that is. In any case, I want to thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I'm happy we were able to do this kind of holiday stream. I want to thank Istophobos, who was able to step in and sit in here for the professor who was traveling. And hopefully he'll help me also because the professor's traveling now for a minute, at least for a week or something. So hopefully if Istophobos can help me again, that would be cool.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be around.
Not assuming, but if it works, it works. And Istophobos, if there's anything you want to plug or talk about before we leave, you can say it now.
No, I mean, you can say hi to me on Twitter. It's at Istophobos, same name. And yeah, I'll be around. So I'm more than happy to fill in if you need somebody. And just, I want everybody out there who may be feeling a little bit lonely during the holidays. We're here. It gets better. And, so there are people in our little area of YouTube that are streaming all through the holidays. So just come look for us and you can even check out my Twitter. I'll try to let you know so you don't have to be alone. And I hope the people that are with family are having a wonderful and peaceful holiday time.
I see that the Real Headcase says it wouldn't let me do it. There's some kind of issue, but it says you guys are great and work hard for the team. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate you all. I appreciate all the support I get. I never take it for granted. And if you guys enjoy what we do, the host is a knitted sock. That's what somebody's saying. That is true. That is true. The Tasteful Thickness. I am a knitted sock. But hopefully you still enjoyed the stream. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Marla, we're always happy to see you here. Dick Clark is gone, so this is this New Year's. It's Istophobos rocking New Year. That is perfectly fine. Yeah. Dick Clark, it felt like until even when he was already not able to be there, they really continue to just use his name and all this stuff. But now can't do that anymore. I think they need to call it like the Ryan Seacrest. Do they still even? I don't think they call it the Dick Clark thing anymore. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows?
I thought they were just gonna make a Dick Clark robot and it was gonna run forever, but,
They still may do that, like a
yeah.
hologram of Dick Clark will talk. They could do it all with AI now and like a robot. It's all gonna happen. But in any case, thanks for the streams, RJ says. Thank you. Thank everybody. I really like everybody here. I enjoy hanging out with you all, and thank you to Stephobos for joining me. And that's it. We'll see you here on Tuesday, as we always do Tuesday and Thursday, 11:45 p.m. on the Night Owl. And good night, and have a great rest of your holiday, Christmas. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Oh no, it's not letting me end the stream. It's the Phobos. I have to leave and come back. Let's see if it'll work.
Ah. Are we still on? I'm all alone here now. This is funny. Oh, I think he's coming back. He's back.
Okay, let's see if I can end the stream. So let's try to do this.
We're just